Hey, what's going on, everybody? How you doing? I am joined here with that of the original BBN as well as the BMT broadcast network crew. As you already know, we helped form that of an amazing balance of shows as well as platforms for that of Black excellence, performance, and professionalism. We are all masters in our own craft in the medical, legal, military, family lifestyle. We literally do it all, and we wear many hats, and we have many professions under our belt as well as ownership. So we're definitely doing this one. I'm joined here. First of all, happy belated Founders Day to two amazing women. We already know that they were celebrating their Founders Day. Also, we want to give a special love and shout out to you, Attorney Michelle. Thank you for being on the panel. I know you are just coming back from that of surgery, and we thank you for at least being here. There, definitely, we got that here from you. Also, with Dr. A, we had a lot of information that me and her were supposed to go over. We still got hit it up. You can also catch her on that of Dana's show, on the real Dana, her and Judge Joe Brown. They also be hitting on amazing content. But also, she originally is our girl over here. Um, she has built amazing medical content that literally cannot be refuted. That she actually works in and actually practicing. She actually was helping us lead the charge and talking about that, dealing with how women and men should maneuver through COVID, especially with that of raising and rearing their children, as well as turning the shell, going over the legal practices, as well as economic strategy. These women are titans in the working, and that they have built whole foundational industries that you and I today benefit from. So we definitely are here for this conversation that these two ladies are joining me on. That they wanted to just have a discussion on are Pick Me and Captain Saberholes ruining the black community. Um, we want to head it off with that of Attorney Michelle and Dr. A on the follow up. This is something that you definitely wanted to speak on the show. I didn't tell her about this. She literally said she wanted to get at this. So, Michelle, you're saying that Pick Me's and Captain Saberholes are ruining the black community. What's your stance and talking point on that? Let's get at it.
The thing about it is, in past generations, they wanted to build up the black community. They wanted to build up our society, and it took a strong man and a strong woman to create strong children. So now we have the pick-me's that are like, hi, please, I'm not strong. I'm very submissive. I'm going to do whatever you say because I need a man. Then you have the Captain Save-A-Hose. This woman isn't strong. She probably is not a good mother currently. She probably won't be a good mother in the future. But there's something about this low hanging fruit that makes you feel more masculine. So we have people who are being selfish. They are finding, whatever they can. They're raising children as an afterthought. And their whole mindset is about the here, the now, not the future.
Okay. Thank you for that. Dr. A, what is your thoughts on this? I know you have birthed and reared many children into this world as dealing with women, as well as I know you've seen their mating selections, as well as looking at that of the intricacies of the community, how it's funding from the child on up. Are the Pick Me and the Captain Save Holes, are they ruining the black community? What's your take on that?
Well, I think I have to start with giving a historic perspective, just like Michelle just did. If we go back to World War during the 1940s, where so many black men were drafted, okay, and left. And during that time of war, the black community was held up by black women because the men were all drafted. Everybody couldn't pull a Donald Trump and get out of the draft. So the reality is the household was female run. And from that point forward, you have a psychological adjustment that was a maladaptation. The maladaptation is feminized men who never saw a daddy in the household, women who are more that pick me. Okay, why? She never had a daddy. She didn't have a man to give her unconditional love without some dick. So she's fundamentally insecure. You also have women who were raped or molested that are fundamentally damaged goods. And without counseling, many of them are a pick me. Captain Save a Hoe, well, that is simply a man who doesn't really want to man up. He doesn't want a co equal relationship, an intellectual equal. He wants the low hanging fruit, pathetic ass chick. And he's the big savior. He looks like a freaking hero. He looks like he's damn Superman because she's such a piece of shit. But if he was with a co equal, maybe he would look so flossy. So they both stem from insecurity.
Now, I wanna get at that and tackle at that because you brought up some very strong intricacy, strong points. Um, because around that time, throughout, it was no secret that a lot of black men were being siphoned and drafted out. These were not just any old type of men; these were working class men were being picked from either out of the workforce, colleges, out of the hell. Some of them were still in high school, and they were being
Right,
sent straight off to war.
right,
So you only had that of the stragglers who stayed behind, and you had a lot of fatherless, broken homes. Now, um, amongst that time, you had it where as to yes, women were like by any means necessary. What man is available? So,
Not just that. Let's just be honest.
mhm,
That after he said a lot of good men, most of the good men were drafted into the military. But we
mhm,
also have to understand they were sending back their BAQ, their families, although they did not have a father in the house. These were intact families until laws were passed that made it illegal for a black woman not to work. So even though these women were well taken care of by their husbands, there was a shortage of domestic help, so to speak. And these women were literally forced by law, threat of losing their children to the system to go to work as a domestic. So that's one of the reasons why kids got used to, mama working and daddy being out of the house. That was
mhm,
it. That was the war generation. When daddy came back, they made it very difficult for daddy to find a job. So
yeah,
again, mommy stayed the domestic,
now,
and the children did not have role models in order to go out there and say, this is the kind of person you need to marry to be strong. Because the kids are looking at daddy like, if daddy came from war, daddy was broken. Many men coming back from war are broken. They've
right,
seen tragedy. They've seen,
right.
and why the hell does my
They're
phone keep ringing?
mentally ill
It's
and
supposed to be on
physically
silent.
handicapped. Many, many.
Right.
I
So
think one of
then
the
you
things.
jump right into the civil rights movement. You jump into the civil
Yep,
rights movement. And again,
right,
you had the biggest advance in the civil rights movement is when teenagers and young children were seated at the counters. And oftentimes they were done so by their parents. So again, where are my parents that are protecting me? They did not see strong parents. They weren't trying to be strong parents for their kids because they had no role models. They didn't see the
right,
idea of it takes a strong woman to be a strong mother. It takes a strong man to be a strong father. Instead, they're sitting up there saying, okay, um, this guy wants me to be submissive, so he must be strong. You know, a lot of black men want submissive women when they come home, because when they're out there in the real world, they have to submit. They have to submit to the white man at the job.
It is.
They
It
have to
is.
submit to the cop.
It is that of a grueling reality, and I've seen and heard this from my life of a man. No matter what, no man is above that pinnacle law. There will be some force of nature that you will submit to. Whether we want to adhere to it, no, there is something. Whether you like it or not, there's a dominant force of nature, and so the field to have to impress that, to feel that of your masculinity, that right there is a cardinal sin in my eyes. I'll speak for me because
Yeah, it should be. It should be. Because
right,
it opens the door to a domino effect of fucked up things.
you know what I'm saying? And shout out to Alonzo Hall if y'all want to talk about financial security. And this has happened, whereas to uh, what happened was Daddy came back from the war or different war, whether it been civil or actually militarized, and did not get his fair share due whenever it came to that of a check, that of civil treatment, or that of the domestic treatment. So when that type of trauma happens, we start to take it out on that of other people, whether it be that of women and children, in that of our society. Because I'll be damned if a little boy, a little Caucasian boy calling me a boy, or what I'm saying, I'm getting spit at and hit and I can't do nothing back. But when I go back, I start lashing out on that of other people. And so
Right.
what happens is this, that you now have it, whereas to you started either A, getting fathers who are like leaving the home, or literally society of certain laws or red lines dissected the man and the female from being able to integrate together functionally. Whereas too, there was cap levels. I can only do so much, or if I want to be in a home, they're not allowed to have certain access to certain benefits. Though I am this person, or I work at the mill 18 hours or over 60 hours, I can't get health benefits or I can't get food vouchers unless I am removed, or I can't do that. So the woman would A, either have to sneak you in the home, or B, y'all had to doggone live below y'all means. Which is this is
Right.
why I never understood why, and you see it on a lot of shows where a lot of blacks, a lot of black men, they have this vitriol of a shame, blame, and we're also joined there by the great liberators. Shout out to my brother Mary. I'm a great historian and a great business entrepreneur. Welcome, Mary. You're joined. We're on a panel of excellence with Doctor Alfred or Doctor A and Attorney Michelle. So you're amongst great people here. Um, but you have it where, as to the children or the people started looking at it, that they're running with these talk today, that mama told daddy to get out the house. Mama used the system to control daddy.
Right.
Versus that of mama could not control mind. It's fun, very interesting that the women weren't even getting, black women weren't even getting the same rights as goddamn a white woman was getting treated. They weren't even getting treated the same in the medical field, which I know Dr. A can speak about that, as
Yep.
for nurses, doctors, legal professionals. How many goddamn movies Michelle could talk about as legal professionals? They were getting an attack, going towards the courthouses and stuff, trying to just do a case, or getting threatened to be killed. So you got to understand that after a while, these things trickle down to the functional society of the home. And when it go down to out of the home, the imagery of the man and the woman were badly damaged, because you could not holistically have a definitive, strong, strong mark. Now, what happened? What you started seeing was the women were like, "I want to have some man. I want to have some man." And being that they didn't get to see a functional man and woman embrace, love, build each other up, you started having where certain men use that of the Captain Saberhold mark. What's going on, baby? You need your bills paid. You need your hair done. You need certain stuff going on. As Attorney Michelle and Dr. A went over, that was the Captain Saberhold mark going throughout that of the heroin and crack epidemic, where a lot of women's households were vulnerable.
That's right.
So, and I'm about to pass over to Brother Mary. What you had going on was they were not trying to help the woman, but find that of an easy lick of a woman. So the daughter saw it as, okay, is this what I have to do to get a man? Is just give it all away. Now, mama's not getting anything, but I guess she's getting comfort. And so the message was badly skewed. The man is supposed to be a help to his woman, but God damn it, what we started seeing, and I ain't gonna lie, but I was there. I was also learning that ideology that best to get a woman when she's down and build her up versus get a woman while she's building and I'm building. We building something great together. Why would I want somebody who is mentally and physically and financially handicapped and want her to stay there and I could just lord over her versus we got a power dynamic? I find that very interesting because when you see other groups that they are building their society, they're building it along with their women, and the men and women are building together. But this is the indoctrination. The women are, they got to be the pick me, they got to be docile, they got to shut up, submit, and bend over backwards. And the men, they got to be on some type of whole line shit. Let me pass over to my brother, the great liberators. Welcome, Brother Mary. Welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing, Brother BMT? I appreciate you for inviting me on your panel. Hold on 1 second, y'all.
Like I said, but ladies, let me know how you feel. Do y'all feel that I was off on what I was saying about how I know y'all watching some of y'all mothers and other women in y'all mother's age and older? Was this something that was accomplished that y'all was seeing going on in the kitchen or after church?
But don't forget one of the things that also occurred because of the dysfunction that was forced on us. We're not talking about welfare mothers. We're talking about, the average middle class woman, the school teacher, the secretary, that these women were out of the house working at a time when most white women were not working. So you now have this dynamic of the child being left vulnerable. Latchkey kids, they were vulnerable. That you had sons and daughters that were raped, they were molested because their parents were not there, they didn't have trust. And in some cases, the stepfather, was the molester or the abuser of the mother. And you had sons that felt like they were just too small. And when they got bigger, they were going to be Captain Save-A-Ho. They were going to save women like their mother from going through that. They were going to save their women like their sisters from going through that. So always understand the dynamic of, if your sister is a hoe, how many black men do you see out there now beating the crap out of men for disrespecting their sister from the get? It's kind of like, it's her body, it's her choice, man. Bros before hoes. Even in the family dynamic, it has become bros before hoes. So we have to look at this. How did we get to this? Man, pick the easy woman, pick the one that don't give you no stress. If the woman don't give you no stress, she ain't giving you no peace because she ain't giving you no challenge. Challenge is different than stress. If a woman is helping push you and hold you up, Some men can
Okay.
feel like that is that's wrong. I'm waiting for your brother man to speak again. So go ahead, my brother.
But brother,
Hey,
you ready?
yeah, I'm ready. Sorry about that. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear
Yeah,
you. We can hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. That interruption. How y'all ladies doing this afternoon?
we're fine. Thank you. How
Okay,
are
now
you?
now I'm doing okay. So I'm trying to just grasp the overall context of the conversation and what exactly we're discussing. I heard you mentioning something of BMT about heroin epidemic, crack cocaine epidemic, things of that nature. And I guess I can piggyback off of the question that attorney Nichelle just posed was how do we get here? And I think at the end of the day, it's a complex, perfect storm of things that's gotten us to where we are now. And the more I analyze and observe and I research the black family, the black community, you uncover more stuff
Right.
that's contributed to what we see today, and what we don't want to talk about. I think what we don't give enough attention to is how the Black Power movement itself was undermined the black family. That's something that we haven't examined. And what I mean by that is what we see today from contemporary modern men, but more specifically contemporary modern black men, is this aversion for what BMT was describing as the traditional male or masculine role as we've understood it within American society. They see that as being a simp. They see it as being weak, henpecked, and not and a less than advantageous role to be in. And this, what we're seeing right now, coming from these brothers, there's a long historiography of that stems back to the '60s that you will never hear men like BGS or any of his PhDs talk about. How many sons who were in these homes with their fathers resented their fathers. They resented their fathers and saw their fathers as going to work for the white man and labor in the white man's world, and not really challenge and stand up to the white man, but fulfilling this very masculine role. A lot of sons in that extreme black power movement and mantra saw that as kowtowing to the white man, the same way these brothers today see it as kowtowing to the black woman. But
Exactly.
we've never really parsed these things out. What we do is you have a bunch of individuals on these platforms, first and foremost, looking to further commoditize the black community, the black experience, and black bodies. And so what they do is they will get on here, aren't really real read, aren't well researched. They have an agenda, and they say stuff that's loaded. They tell half truths, or they just tell flat out lies to make money and evade accountability while doing it. And so we're just looking, and the thing that's disheartening for I think like men like me and in BMT is that what we see, the behavior and the rhetoric that these brothers are engaging in, is that these things do nothing at all to dispel the myths and the notions about black male degeneracy and dereliction. The fact of the matter is even when we talk about integration, segregation, things of this nature, what we have to realize is that one of the ways that we have been treated as black men in American society is we've been treated as a group of men who just are fundamentally incapable of doing what men are supposed to do unless we have a taskmaster forcing us to do it. This is the way that white men portrayed black men.
That's
That
right.
they have to have their, if they don't put us on plantations and put us in slavery to work, then we just don't want to work. We shiftless. We walking around. We loitering. We vagrants. You see, and but the problem that we're faced with in this modern era is that we have brothers who are running to fulfill that stereotype, to
Mm.
fulfill that caricature. I mean, when you look at this whole thing with the passport broing, they are talking about these behaviors as if this is something new, but it's not. These things have always been portrayed about you. They've always said this about you. There's a long historiography of black men being portrayed as hypersexual, uh, as being portrayed as hypersexual, uh, over sexual, and going into other men's areas, cultures, spaces, countries, and undermining the cohesion of their group through that same sexual virility that many black men now today, in their ignorance, tout as some type of accomplishment or a badge of honor. I mean, when we look at the myth of the BBC, we think that the myth of the BBC is something to be proud of. You know, I got this big long slong as a black man, but that was the very rationale and myth that they told to justify mass incarcerating you, to justify lynching you, to justify pushing you to the brink of economic irrelevancy. But now in our time today, because of their ignorance, they will run and crawl over each other to fulfill these very stereotypes and caricatures while talking about black male happiness, and then at the same time, while doing this, laying all of the blame at the feet of the black women, and think that this is some type of new paradigm or new behavior that they're engaging in, when this has been the rap about black men since time immemorial. And I'll just be honest, it causes me to question the fact that maybe everything that the white man was saying about the black man wasn't a myth, wasn't racist, and wasn't a lie. We all know that there is some truth to stereotypes. And this is what we are confronted with in 2023. And then when you have men who want to display black male exceptionalism and real black male masculinity and real black male manhood, they think that they're going to run roughshod over these men and what they stand for and what they represent, while they continue to demoralize, degrade their own fucking community. And this is what
Exactly.
I
Well
have a
said.
problem with.
Very well
I
said.
mean,
I completely agree with everything you're saying. And in
exactly.
particular, it's important in this platform on this evening that we acknowledge, as you just did, who is the author of the narrative that you're buying into? That's question number one, okay? Because if the narrative has been written by mass media, etc., yes, it's going to dehumanize the black man. Why? Because once you dehumanize his ass, white America has more sympathy when you shot Harambe, the fucking gorilla, than they have for Trayvon or young black boys, because they have already dehumanized them, and we drank the damn Kool-Aid. Not just white America, we as a black community drank the Kool-Aid. So again, Joe, back to your topic. Do the pick me chicks and the Captain Save-A-Ho dudes mess it up for the rest of us? Hell yes, they do.
You know, Afre, let me get back to what he was saying that about the media. Okay, you have people, on the media who do things for clicks and giggles. And so when you have people sitting up there saying, oh, we're going to go to third world countries and find us some downtrodden women that will be submissive to us. Thank you, Captain Save-A-Ho, for going international. You are, on the one hand, saying you're going to go to third world countries where these women will be more submissive, and you're showing pictures of very, very sexually explicit women that are probably part of the sex trade, and you are promoting, again, once again, that the black man's not trying to be a father. He's not trying to contribute to the next generation and build strong children. He's trying to find a hoe because he's Captain Save-A-Ho. And he don't care if he has to go overseas, but that's what black men do. That's what they're attracted to. And so, guess what, you black women? You're not being pick me enough. It's not enough of you willing to let us be hobosexuals. You know, you're not willing to let us just lie up and be degenerates because of the prowess of our dick. That is something that is cultivated by the media. It's very simple. That right now, I work for African Heritage Network, and right now, the advertising dollars are behind whoever comes up with the most sensational bullcrap. You can't
Right.
write love songs anymore. You got to write songs about how you popped a hoe, how you popped a hoe, you popped a pussy. That's the thing that a real man does. He gets notches on his belt. He makes her do things that are so demoralizing. But that is the way people are building up for short term gain. So yes, pick me's, they're like, oh yes, 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 I'll be on your show and I'll twerk on your show for $50. Pick me, pick me. They are ruining our culture because people on the outside are seeing that as normal. And you know how they said life imitates art. We're starting at one point in time we wanted shows about the black family. Jefferson's whatever. They were strong black families. Y'all know the list. Even Sanford and Son was about a strong family, strong father and son relationship. But all of a sudden, you know, hey, we had these shows about white men coming in saving the little black kids, and there were people willing to put their kids up for those type of shows because they got paid. So again, getting back to how do we build up strong families? Strong families are not about having a weak, submissive wife. Strong families. Look at the Nation of Islam. They are not asking these women to be sexual slaves for their men. They're asking them to take care of the home and the man take care of the family. The man is not micromanaging who gets his plate first. They are providing the money for the woman to go out and be fiscally responsible and clothe the kids, make sure it's warm in the house, there's electricity, there's running water, and there's good, healthy, nutritional food. And the men are trained to protect their family first. It's not bros before hoes, it's their family first. That's what we forget in these shows. That's you don't have shows where men. It's not popular for black men to give parenting advice to other black men. No, the shows that are popular is how do I get this hoe to stop putting me on paper. These men are not talking about how to make the best environment for their children. And that's what we need to focus on. How do we create stronger children in the next generation?
I could agree to that. We're also joined here by one of the BMT content creators, as well as the Sweet Life of Melody co-host Ruby live and upfront. That's also one of her shows. Ruby has a lot under her belt. She also is an author as well as a documented psychiatrist. You got to say it like that. Documented, licensed professional. I love doing talk for professionals because we're supposed to be able to take out the emotion and look at straight under the microscope that of the facts. Um, Ruby, we're looking at that of the talking point where we're addressing that of our pick me and Captain Saberholes ruining the black community. Um, and literally, what's your stance on all of that? Go ahead.
Okay. Well, first I have to say, and I think it's interesting to listen to everybody's interpretations of this over the last few days, because what I've noticed is that first of all, it's very difficult within our community, I think, especially um, because terminology, something like Captain Save-A-Ho, something like Pick Me, something like Mammy, whatever it is, right? That terminology is supposed to be like a quick access directory, so that way anyone who hears these words knows exactly what you're talking about. That's why we came up with terminology or language, right? But depending on what group or subgroup you ask within the Black community, you're going to get a different answer as to what a pick me is or what Captain Save a Ho is. And in and of itself, when I'm listening to the way, and I wasn't here for everyone's answers, so I can only say Michelle, and I don't remember who's speaking before you. So I guess I don't really say what Michelle was saying, but also yesterday, also earlier what BMT was saying, and I'm like, it seems to me like pick me is being defined as something that we've had in the community for a long time, which are women who have very low standards and accept bad behavior or ancient no count behavior from men, probably due to their own insecurities and whatnot, right? So talk about the homosexual. Well, who's dealing with the homosexual? Because if you look at how you define the word pick me, right, or how the men at least are defining the word pick me, right? Because the way the women are defining the word pick me is different. So when you look at the men, the way men define the word pick me, well, single mothers and women who deal with homosexuals couldn't be pick me. And so from that sense, the homosexual also couldn't be a homosexual unless he was dealing with a single mother, because the way he's normally kind of getting his bread and butter, besides having, wonderful D, is the fact that he's willing to sleep on your couch and babysit your kids for you, right? And so that's not the pick me woman. That is something we see. It's a trope in the Black community, but it's not the pick me. So I think the problem is we invent these terms so we can take all of the behavior we don't like and take it off of us and take it off the people we care about and take it off the people we relate to and say, that's not us. That's them over there. Okay. It's those dysfunctional people over there. It has nothing to do with us. And even if we know ourselves or other people who are just like us do these things, we're going to say, no, it's different when we do it. When we do it, it's different. Listen, he's not a homosexual, okay? He's just been out of work for 10 years, okay? No, and look, he's not Captain Save a Ho, okay? Chick's not a hoe. She just has 10 different baby fathers, but she's not a hoe. Come on, right? And so, like, we do this thing. It's like exceptionalism. And we don't really want to just own the dysfunction and recognize that the fact of the matter is there's nothing wrong with a guy who sees a woman's had a hard life, maybe made some bad decisions, and wants to be with that woman because she's changed now. But he's assessing, he sees, okay, her past isn't that great. There's nothing wrong with that, right? There is something wrong, maybe with him wanting to save chicks who are still in prison and, give away his 401k to buy her, cinnamon rolls or whatever. Yeah, there's an issue there, right? But those are not the same thing. And there's nothing wrong with a woman who says, you know what? I want a traditionally minded man. I want to submit to my husband. I want my husband to be the head of my household. I don't want to have to work. I want to stay home with my kids, and I'm good with that. And I love a good, strong Black man. There's nothing wrong with that, right? But is there something wrong with taping for dysfunctional men, abusive men, whatever? Yes, there is, right? But it's like we want to conflate all those things together and pretend that if one of those things exists, then the other exists. And I think that's just total bullshit. So that's basically my opening thought.
Okay.
No, what I was saying was that wait a minute, Afraid. What I was saying was the whole thing about strong Black women. It's not necessarily whether you work or don't work. Muslim women traditionally do not. Nation of Islam women traditionally do not work, but they're considered strong women. They're strong in the community. They're strong for their families first. They're strong in the church. That not working and being a traditional mother does not make you a pick-me. What makes you a pick-me is when you are willing to display your goods, put it all out there as, I need a man so desperately. You become a pick-me. You don't have any standards. These men know that. And they're not looking for long term. They're looking for, hey, look what I got. Look what I caught. You're like a fish that they can easily throw back into the water. You're not really a prize. You're a pick-me. You're something that they had a little fun catching, bringing into the boat and looking at it, playing around with it for a little bit, and then throwing it back in. It ain't something they're going to put up on their wall and say, that's mine. Praise be, look what I got. where they take care of it and they nurture it. Because when you put a fish on the wall, you don't just leave it there and let it rot. You've taken care to show that that is yours. So in the Black community, we need to get past the whole, if you want to be a traditional wife and mother and not work, that somehow or another you're being a pick me. You're not being a strong Black woman. And as far as the Captain Save-A-Hos, y'all know who y'all are. Y'all are enablers. You enable bad habits. You are not sitting up there going, oh, this woman's changed. She's trying to build now. No, a Captain Save-A-Ho is the kind of guy that knows she's a drug addict. But, they're sitting up there giving her an allowance to go buy the drugs. They see what she's doing, but they enable the bad behavior. That's all I'm saying.
Let me get it over to Dr. A, and then after that, I'm gonna give my response about the pygmies. Go ahead, Dr. A, and go ahead. Go ahead. You got.
Well, I was going to say that I agree with a lot of what you're saying, and in particular, you know, referencing terminology or stereotyping versus definitions. Okay, so when we think of it that way, then remove the stereotypical words, pick me, and remove the stereotypical words, Captain Save-A-Ho. And like Michelle just described, what is dysfunctional and destructive to the Black family is the following. Number one, the type of woman, however she historically emerged. Okay, we just gave examples, and I think you missed that part of the show where we're talking about how we can go back to the 1940s and the destruction systematically of the Black family. But essentially, you have the opposite of a daddy's girl. Okay, she never got unconditional love. She never got that from a platonic man. Anytime she loves a man, it's associated with some dick. So if that's her life story, if that's her definition, or if she was raped or molested, anyway she got there, she's in a dysfunctional space that's destructive to her personally. It's damn sure destructive to the Black community, but it's also self-toxic. For a man, the parallel is, it's not about he helped out pretty woman Julia Roberts. Yeah, Goody Gumdrops, what a beautiful story. It dates back to Cinderella. Everybody wants to be her and have Prince Charming, Captain Save-A-Ho, sweep them off their feet. But the reality is, if a man, be he your brother or your friend, your bestie from high school, and you're 50 and you look back at his life and every woman he has picked is a broke down, broken bird with broken wings, pathetic ass situation. No, that's not normal, nor does it build up our community. You are seeking the broken winged bird. Why? What is it about you that you keep going to that? And if you're not saving somebody, you don't feel worthy. So it takes two wholes, masculine and feminine, to build up the Black family. If anybody is a broken wing, broken bird, dysfunctional person, they should be in a position in life where they're working on self, because they can't build up the family.
Like I'm gonna say this, and because the pick me has always been the Aunt Jemima of the bullshit for a long ass time. I know we tried to integrate her as the Martha Kings, or the woman, the wailing woman, the wailing mother, and all that good shit. But after a while, we cannot overlook the contortion of allowing. We got to look at that, of the symbolism of what this type of nature has been allowing. The Save-A-Ho Negro has doggone allowed that destructive, unhinged behavior to think that somehow I can save the trauma of this woman, regardless of whatever atrocities that she commits. I can fix it. Doesn't mean, and I mean, we're not talking about, hey, like, okay, so she has a kid. Okay, you want, it's fine. You want to be the man that steps up? It's okay. But I'm also going to look at it as the men that knowingly have, I know men that have killed other men. Even though that they knew the woman was wrong, they still did the atrocity. I know men that, oh, I could do whatever I want. My daddy or my mama or my daddy or my cousin, they going to take up. But you know she's in the wrong, and they're going to step in. And I tell that to the women in my family, like, listen, I love you, but don't put me in that situation of where I can lose my life because you want to make stupid, reckless, behavioral, situational things. Now, am I going to protect my daughters? Am I going to protect the women in my family? Hell yes. That is my honor, dude. But don't be running out there chasing Junebug and all of them deranged fools. Think I'm supposed to jump up in the late of the night and go play Negro Busters. No, we don't play them games. So we have it where a lot of androgynous behavior has happened because a lot of Captain Saber hoes. That is probably the best time. I'm gonna tell you, one of the most vulnerable time a lot of women have gotten knocked up is in the Captain Saber hole moment. A Negro hears about you back on you down on your luck. You have a problem, you don't have a place to stay. Oh, you falling behind on bills. You need a sugar daddy. You need this. Listen, I can tell you right now, we were just talking about what's that, Naomi Asuka. She was in her Captain Saber hole mode. At the top of the tennis game, got in the Captain Saber hole mode, got knocked up by a goddamn little Pookie.
Right.
Now she's knocked up, no ring, and standing in front of the world looking stupid and dumbfounded.
Yep.
At least goddamn Serena got a ring before she before she got knocked up. Niggas have tried. But we are not going to overlook the Captain Saber hole moment. Because see, God knows black boys always have forever been trying to save goddamn mama. They've been trying to save mama through that woman. A lot of women can tell you right now that, damn it, I feel like I'm competing with your mama. Shit, is your mama your wife? Now, in that same thing, that kind of issue has happened.
Amen.
Now looking at that of the pygmy Orthodox, that boy can be fucked up. That boy can be doing all kind of deranged shit. That man could done beat the goddamn living dog shit out of that woman. That woman will still bail that nigga. Sometimes I tell you, black women, y'all are stupid to a fault at times. Because a nigga could threaten to kill you and say, I'm going to blow your brains out. And y'all say, damn, I love him. I can save him. Something about my coochie juice is going to bring him back to glory, and I'm going to take him to church. And that nigga ain't shit. The minute he get out of goddamn county, he going right back to the nigga shit. That's a pick me. That's a pick me 30% alcohol proof.
Yeah.
Pick me knows her son is out there doing fuck nigga shit. And she'll go run on and goddamn do a Black Lives Matter march and say, we got to stop killing these black boys. But your nigga right there, your Negro is out there doing harm to the community. He out there making babies, Captain Sabo, and saying that the system is playing me. See, we can't overlook. These people have been doing a lot of volatile damage. We're not going to overlook them. We're not going to overlook the mamas who go to the school and fight the teachers and the authorities saying, y'all picking on my baby, knowing damn well your baby have been doing a lot of doggone shit. But then you'll say it's the school's the problem. That's a pick me move right there. I'm not going to lie about the Captain Saber hoes that literally keep on encouraging the goddamn whole nation. Hoes do what they do. As long as the Captain Saber hoe, these hoes will always keep on winning. Because guess what? They're going to always fund them. They're going to always want to be a sugar daddy. They're going to always want to try to save that girl's household. Even though that girl said, listen, I ain't going to stop doing what the fuck I'm doing. He going to come back. He going to kiss my ass.
The bottom line, Joe, there will always be Captain Saver hoes. There will always be pick-me's because we live in a predatory society. Bottom line, as African people, okay, as long as we are in a predatory society where it is prey or be preyed upon, that's the paradigm. And
Yeah.
you're dumb as dog shit, because instead of changing the narrative, you're just gonna go with the paradigm assigned to you. Well, then you are gonna be dumbass number one or dumbass number two.
I mean, I wonder why on these spaces I hear 40 and 50-year-old men talking about how to get a hoe, how to stop paying child support, when they should be talking about how to raise their sons, how to raise their daughters. So I had a gentleman tell me he had a 16-year-old daughter. He said, I don't want her to be a hoe like her mama. I said, how's her mama a hoe? He's like, her mama hoeing me out asking for child support. That bitch got a job. She don't need my money. He's like, I'm gonna raise my daughter so she don't need a man. She ain't gonna never be dependent on a man. Brother,
Look how that logic sound.
marriage
Look how
is
that
about
logic
interdependence. Interdependence. That's what marriage is about. Ladies, interdependence. They are dependent on you. You are dependent on them. That's why this whole submissive crap is bull crap. Okay, y'all, I gotta run. I got an appointment here. Ciao.
Okay, go ahead with it. Like I said,
Well,
go ahead.
if I could respond then, because first of all, there's a difference between submissive, which is a personality trait, and a general state of being, and being in submission, which is a state of being and a choice that one makes, and it has nothing to do with your personality state, right? So I am in submission to my husband. That doesn't mean that I'm a submissive personality, a little wallflower, or whatever he says goes. I don't get an opinion. I'm a doormat. He just tells me what to do. I don't have a brain. No. And see, this is where people get the word submission messed up, although it is in the Bible. So if you're a Christian, you should believe in submission. If you're a man, you should believe in submission, because you should know as a man that your wife is submitting to you just as much as you are submitting to her, and the both of you are supposed to be submitting to the Lord and submitting to your role as a husband and as a wife. So I mean, at the end of the day, this is the problem. It's all in the same verses that people know that women are supposed to submit. Like often in the exact same book, right before or after that is where they talk about the husband submits to his wife, or that the husband's body belongs to the wife too, or whatever. So it's a two-way street. Submission is not some shameful, derogatory thing that is like just puts women down. It's just a state of being. Whereas in your husband, if you marry someone who doesn't respect you and doesn't respect your opinion, doesn't respect women, well, you should have vetted better, first of all, because you shouldn't marry someone like that, right? But my husband, I'm in submission to my husband. My husband has the final decision in anything. But oftentimes, I'm his counsel. So since I'm his counsel, I'm going to give him all the information I have, including my opinion of what should be done. And he's always going to listen to that, respect that, assess that. And I trust him to assess that. And since men generally tend to be better at big picture thinking, right, I trust that he's going to make the best decision for us. And I respect whatever decision he makes. That's me being in submission to my husband, in submission to my role as wife, just like he's in submission to his role as a husband. And so therefore, when I say certain things about care of the household, self-care of him, things that we need to keep our relationship emotionally healthy, whatever, he respects that and he follows that, right? Because he's in submission to his role as my husband just as much as I'm in submission to my husband, right? So I think the thing is, these terms, all these terminology, it's used basically to shame women like myself, right? Because the problem is, and this is where BMC, I will say, you're just not around in these spaces enough to understand the way things have gone. But the first time I ever heard any of the terminology, mammy, pick me, whatever, was when it was being used against me. And it was being used against me to shame me by women, right? Not because I was I was speaking out against all the things that you have a problem with, BMT. I was speaking out against, and the women didn't like me speaking out against it, and so now I'm just some pick me bitch, right? So even though I'm speaking out against the same things you don't like, right? The same dysfunctionality, saying we got to make these changes. Right now, I'm just some pick me bitch, right? Oh, submissive. See, yeah, you just want to be submissive. See what these women do. See what they're trying to say that you should be. When did I ever say that as a woman, as a wife? When you're in submission to your husband, you should be weak and you should let men walk all over you. You should just accept anything. Men are allowed to disrespect and this and that. When did I ever say it? I didn't, right? But it's being used as a tool to shame and silence women like myself so that way other women, especially young ones coming up, don't listen to me and don't listen to the counsel of other women who are saying, no, sister, there's another way. The homosexual thing, nonsense. Okay, oh, you know what? Hey, listen, let's just have baby after baby after baby every 2 years. That way we can stay up on the welfare and then work on under the table job. No, sis, that ain't it, right? No, sis, no ring, no ting. Stop producing babies for people who won't marry you, right? So when women like myself want to speak on that, right, and try to educate the younger sisters who are growing up in the dysfunctional households and communities and no one's telling them, right, then we're being brushed off as just some pick-me bitch. And in the sisterhood, because it's the sisterhood who's actually doing all of these things that you're speaking out against, BNC, right, when the sisterhood sisters hear it, right, they want to dismiss and silence women like myself, right, but yeah, right. And unfortunately, the biggest problem is, and that's why I said, I'm like, we really need to stop with the terminology, because the problem is the men are using the word pick me differently than the way that the women are using the word pick me. And either way, it's being used to simply shame and silence. And so at the end of the day, the people who really want to know more, who maybe want to fight against the nonsense they're seeing, maybe want to do better, they're scared. They're scared into following along the bullshit because they are scared of being a pick me bitch. Because they don't even really know what it means, and how could they? Because it depends on who they talk to today, who's going to tell them what. It's a problem. I'm sorry.
So,
well,
okay.
I'll say, this is a very interesting lens. I'm so happy that you came on the panel tonight, because frankly, you opened my eyes. I have never heard someone who is well educated and now successfully married to be referred to as the pick-me bitch. Literally, who I am referencing when Joe calls me and says, let's do a show and talk about the pick me bitch and Captain Save-A-Ho. Again, as I had said earlier,
We did history.
Pick me is a fundamentally insecure, fundamentally, weak, fundamentally not centralized woman. Damn sure not a high power woman who's successfully married. And the pick me, more often than not, is actually single, because that's what she's running. Either she's fucking your husband or a few husbands, or she's got a few sugar daddies. She's not in a successful marriage because she's not psychologically, mentally, financially on top of her game. So to say that you have been referenced by other women as a pick-me, I have to sit back and learn, because that's a whole new lens for me to look out of.
And to be fair, I'll tell you, when I first, because I had never heard any of the terminology until I arrived in the manosphere spaces around 7-8 years ago, around then. And the term has changed definitions, and the group that kind of had the power over what that term definition meant has changed multiple times over 7 years, right? So in the last, I'll say, couple years or so, right, the men almost reclaimed the name pick me, right? So in a way, they took back and they said, listen, what's so wrong with being a woman who wants to be picked for marriage, right? Now, and if you think about it on the surface, there's nothing really wrong with that, right? And then it just depends on what the definition, what do they mean by that specifically? Well, what the men are saying when they are saying that they want to pick me, they want a woman who is feminine, who cares about her health, who cares about her looks and her well-being, who can show respect, who can cooperate with her husband, who, isn't out there just having babies all willy-nilly and, sitting there living off the government all willy-nilly and don't care about it. Like, it's the definition of a good woman, a respectable woman. That's really all they're saying, right? So they've reclaimed the term pick me. And the reason why they're doing it is because they realize that the good women, right? Just look at women who just weren't here for the bullshit and whatever. We're being called pick-me's anyway. They were being called pick-me's by the women to shame them and try to get them stop speaking out against us, stop speaking out against all of the nonsense, right? Stop speaking out against the homosexuals, stop speaking out against this don't need no man culture, stop speaking out against all of the masculine, hey, you know what, a woman is going to be a father and a mother come Father's Day and Mother's Day. It's like, dude, we don't, like, no, you're still a mom. Like, I'm not saying that
Right,
if you're a single mom, you ain't working, but you're a daddy too,
right.
you know? Like,
That's right.
That's
So,
it.
one of the things about it, and this is why when I look at, I think you came in after me, and Dr. A started it off. She did an amazing job. She said, first off, let's break down that of the structural societal history of the family and why the terms derived the way they did. So Dr. A started it. I went in, and Mary Brown, shout out to the great liberator, he went in very eloquently. So we went in over the history, not this social media YouTube nigga shit. Just this stuff right here is some millennial based thing versus that of what we can traject throughout that of history, looking at that of how societal functionality of men and women have been seen. When we see them women running out there jumping on their dead black baby boy who was out there doing all kind of crazy criminal shit and then saying, not my baby, not my baby. But I'm like, that your baby was a fucking problem. But yet you spawned 7 more of these goddamn things. And so, mind you, the same woman that P&B Rock's baby mama is a pick-me. She was all submissively agreeable with him. But guess what? Now that he's dead and gone, she gets nothing. The pick-me picked her mating choice and dies with nothing. Now she's online quoting Bible scriptures and shit, looking goofy as fuck, saying that, well, God's gonna make me strong, y'all, but you picked your choice, and he picked to fuck you over. He left you nothing. Like these are the realities that these people are now looking at the end game effect. This is the thing about it. When we seen the pick me, the girl who holds the nigga's pistol and says, I'm gonna take this charge for him. We seen that pick me. We seen the Yvette of Baby Boy who doggone harbor these niggas who are agreeable, who literally will go hard and buck. Shannon B, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We know these pick me very.
I'll tell you who's the perfect example, Joe. Even though she's not black, but Jeffrey Epstein, who was the dumb bitch?
That
Elaine Maxwell. Her?
That bitch is the ultimate pick me. See, a pick me will be R. Kelly's wife would be a amazing pick me. R. Kelly's wife is a pick me. That is a
no. No. R. Kelly's wife is a victim. Sorry.
No, oh, now she's a victim.
Actually, they were both victims. His ex-wife, the one he had kids with and whatever, she was a victim. She got out though. Now that's his ex. The one that he married, right? She was always a victim. She was basically a child when he started talking to her, stole her from her parents, right? Had her hair cut off and calling her a little boy in his little cult of women and whatever, had her so goddamn brainwashed and programmed. That's his wife right now. That's his wife. She's a victim. You know, and this is the thing. A lot of people have developed that Stockholm syndrome, whatever. We don't realize how powerful that brainwashing kind of thing can be when you're talking about emotionally, mentally, physically abusive relationships, right? No, that little girl's a victim, and she's very young too. Still, I mean, she's been a victim of his since she was like 17. She's been in that cult for like 10 years.
Now hold up. So here's the thing about it. R. Kelly's wife.
Mm-hmm.
This is the thing about it where me and Dr. A probably. This is why we should have did that trafficking thing with the escorts, Dr. A, because we have these conversations with girls in the business, and they openly tell us how the men teach them, they pick them to teach them how to go fish to bring in other women and mentally break them down. And Dr. A is usually in the clinic. That's her prison. This is where the professional come in, and she has to start to figure out what's going on. Are you being forced, coerced? Are you being brought here to have an abortion because the man told you that he's going to either leave you, kill you, delete you, whatever? These are realistic things that literally the woman, where if a woman's mother, let's say a woman's mother, told her daughter to go lay with that man, so that way you can get that check, and baby, behave yourself. Don't say shit back. That is a pick me move. You're telling your child to go into the line of danger at their healthy means. See, we're trying to overlook and try to make it a bravado of a.
That's not a pick me move.
But see, it is. See, the thing about it is,
no, that's look. A person who would sell their child is not being a pick me. That's not a pick me thing. That is actually evolutionarily. No, it's not. It's not, because evolutionarily that is literally destructive. That would be like the equivalent of saying that it would be a pick me thing to kill your kids because your man don't want any. No, evolutionarily,
women have done that.
No, but that's why I'm not saying women haven't done it. I'm saying it's not a pick me thing. I'm saying that it's deleterious. I think humanity would have died off long ago if we were willing to injure or kill our children, and that was a normal thing. It's a normal thing, that way people evolve. We didn't. So it's deleterious. That means it's not normal, right? So it's not a pick-me thing. Pick-me's, right? One way or the other, whether we like it or not, pick-me's are making choices we may not like or we may not respect, right? But overall, they're making choices and they think it's for the greater good, right? And it's normally about themselves and getting some type of male attention or validation. But if they are willing to hurt their own children for it, no, that's actually, you're seeing psychological damage there. You're seeing trauma. You're seeing disorders. What you're not seeing is just a normal woman just making a choice, and she could just make a different choice tomorrow. No, she's damaged. She's damaged good. She's broken. Someone needs to come for her, lock her away, and work very deeply with her, because that's not a normal thing to do. It's not.
So, and you're right about that. I think you're 1,000% right. And that is the person who Joe and I are describing when we say pick me. That's why you could have knocked me to the ground with a feather when you said you have been called this. Like, what? No, because we're describing a dysfunctional person who needs intervention.
But see, this is the problem, right? A person who needs intervention.
Are we talking about two different lines? Are you talking about your version of a pick me versus that of the pick me?
Right now, there's three on the table, because what y'all are talking about now with this is a completely different thing than the chick who has a homosexual on her couch, and as long as he's giving her D and telling her she's pretty 3 times a day, that's good enough. That's different than the type of chick who's here, go play with the boys to make her boyfriend happy, right, with her kids. Those are two different types of people. They're not the same kind of person, right? And so that's two different types of people. And then there's the third type of pick me, which is what the men are defining, which is in essence a good woman. So that's three different. That's why I said at the start of this conversation, I'm like, using the terminology is what is causing division. Because the fact of the matter is, BMT, is that you came onto our panel on Tuesday, okay? And it was like, oh, there's so much division. We don't get along because you're anti-pick me and they're pro-pick me. But if you took away the term, stop using the term, and you just said women who do this and women who do this, everyone was in agreement. There's not one person who would have disagreed if you took out the term pick me. Right? But you say pick-me's do this, this, and this, and they say, no, pick-me's don't do that. And that's why I said the terminology is causing even more division and is preventing us from actually coming together as a group to cast out or change or prevent or whatever it is we need to do this dysfunctional, destructive behavior that is like spreading like wildfire,
Right. And so very insightful on your part. The bottom line is this: remove the terminology. Okay, who are we saying is destructive to the Black family, Black community? The person with the extremely low self-esteem for whatever reasons, rape, molestation, broken home, whatever in their childhood broke them. They are broken, and a broken person is not an asset to the community. And you're right, it's not hard to get intelligent people to agree about that basic reality.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's what I think we need to do. But it's almost like in this, I don't know if it's a Gen Z slash millennial thing, but I think we're like so addicted to tribalism and to having reasons for us to separate and then fight about it, like whatever it is. And it's like we don't want to come together. I don't know. Maybe as a community, we're scared of what would happen if we just stopped overlooking the tiny things that we can fight about and just came together on the biggest things. Okay, is there something that 95% of us can agree with? I think there is. Why don't we come together and attack that thing? But we don't want to do that. We want to fight about the bottom 10% stuff that we don't agree about. Yep. And while everything else goes to shit. Like, that's what we want to do. And we don't want to listen to the professionals, right? We don't want to listen to people who've dedicated their whole lives to studying human behavior. No, exactly. Why would we do that? That would be crazy. Exactly. That's silly, right? It's like, I dedicated my life to this, but no one listens to me.
So when it comes to that, looking at it, see, when I opened up, I look at it from that I brought in the references, not on YouTube, but that of legal, physical, historical, collateral references of things of why men and women and children are not operating the way they're operating. I didn't say, like how you said the first time you heard of it. Mm-hmm. Mammy, I heard of Mammy because other women, older seasonal women that came from the suffrage movement, that told other women, don't go out there and march for your rights. We shouldn't do that. And they're like, no, we got to do this because if my husband is dead, guess what? I'm ass out. I got to go find another man. No, I got 6 kids. I'm going to go to work. So when they have these kind of things, when a woman is trying to tell another woman, don't buck the fence or you're going to piss off. You're going to piss off the goddamn horses. No, man. Like, we got to do this. I don't have a problem with, I hear some people saying, why do women go to work? I'm like, nigga, our women been going to fucking work since the dawn of ever. Like, the fuck you're saying? Like, since when? Tell me, give me your Wakanda little blow up the ass narrative. I want a woman to be barefoot and pregnant and stay at home. Okay, nigga, then up your pay wage and make it work to where you can do that for your kingdom. But other than that,
like you said, Joe, that has never been the woman of color story.
Right. It's never. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, this is why I get frustrated when I have these conversations, especially on social media. Like, when I do these conversations behind closed doors and like enlightenment, we look at that of the timeline, the references, and that of women have always been at home, happy, barefoot, pregnant. I'm like, nigga, while your husband was out there working, that woman was folding clothes for the neighbor to make some pennies, and then going down there to the other woman's house to goddamn to go do some odd jobs to go get some. Like, that was not that. And I literally I could call my dad right now. That dude walked with King and other people, so he'll tell you like the women were always working. Like, what the fuck you talking about? So, am I gonna say, well, that was the pick me era or that was a good old girl era? Like, no, bro. Like, motherfuckers always have to work. So this little fantasy, I want my wife to be submissive and all that shit. Okay, nigga. Then tell you what, build your Build-A-Bear network kingdom and shut the fuck up. Well, I'm trying to get other men and women to understand. No, I'm trying to get you to understand. Nobody gives a fuck what you want. What you do in your house to make your shit work, that's what you do. I address men. I address men because I'm a fucking man. You can address the women because you're a woman. When people say, BMT, why don't you go on the women? I said, I'm a fucking man. That's the women's job.
Exactly.
When they want to deal with the women. Now, in the same sense, women are going to always say, well, okay, you're going to come at me, then show me the way. You're going to come at me and challenge my principle. Well, guess what? I'm a boss bitch. I'm making X, Y, Z money. You tell me why I should step off this $70K a year job and take my ass in that house. If that nigga can double up or match me, then guess what? I may shut the fuck up. But other than that, you don't hear other groups. You can't even get the Asian man, woman to want to come out the workforce anymore. The Asian man woman done told him, fuck yourself. Y'all told us not to have kids and go to work. So guess what? Now they say fuck the government. Now the Asian man running to the black woman and say, hey, you want to have babies? Now you got a woman like this is why I said this is the lower desirable hanging fruit power struggle. I get it. Like I get it. Like these conversations, like anybody who's building power, this is why I said people, I think Negroes don't understand power couples. Because power dynamic is power on power makes more power. If I'm out there fucking busting my ass and my goddamn girl out there working her goddamn shift at the fucking goddamn on the goddamn night shift doing fucking goddamn clinicals, we're making fucking money. We just hit our 6-figure mark. No, you need to just depend on my fucking income. So I'm supposed to stress and bend over and kill myself, and we gonna pretend and play good times, strugglation, eat oatmeal and shit, versus we can both fucking make them. No, nigga, y'all can suck my goddamn black.
Well, that's why I'm not a pick me, BMT. That's why the men wouldn't call me a pick me. So even though the women are calling me a pick me to shame and deride me, right? The men who are using it in a positive way, traditional minded women, they won't call me a pick me because, for example, like I personally, me with my own 2 hands, we finished a lot of things inside of our house, right? Like I installed the floors, I literally made countertops and installed those. I installed the plumbing in the kitchen. I did a lot of renovations, like with my own hands, or like I can change a tire. There's a lot of things I can do. I grew up a tomboy predominantly. I'm still mostly a tomboy. They don't like it. But here's the thing, okay? So I will agree with you that and part of the issue is this, right? So to say I support pure red pill ideology is not saying I support a bunch of weak dudes who are scared that because they are ineffectual at doing things that are stereotypically male, right? They hide inside of this space so that way they don't have to come to Jesus about the fact that, you know what, they either need to improve themselves, right? Or they're never going to measure up to other men. It's not even about women. It's just about measuring up to other men. Or measuring up to where they should be on a male level. So while they're busy criticizing that women can't cook, they don't even know how to hold a hammer, let alone how to hammer in a nail, right? So I mean, there's an issue there. I'm not going to disagree with you that there are definitely some weak, ineffectual people hiding, in plain sight, pretending that they're about something when they're not. I get it, right? And those are normally the ones who really hate what I can do now. But there's a bunch of dudes inside this space who thought it was so sexy that my favorite color was red and I have an air compressor and it's red, right? So I mean that I know how to use it too, and that they'd be like talk construction to me like it was dirty, like, and they liked it. So I mean, but the point is, right? It's like not all of the dudes who are say red pill or in the manosphere or who want to pick me wife, right, are these weak, ineffectual dudes, right? In fact, though, I will say that in general, that the homosexuals and Captain Save-A-Hose and whatever are not in that sector. They're not actually in that sector at all. They're not. Because they're busy being over there with the women who hate black men and are just busy calling them plus DNA shit, no count, this and that, and blah, 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 and promoting equally. And this is my problem too, right? So, because I understand, right? There's a problem here where it's like it kind of almost feels like for a lot of the women who are in the middle, they're like it almost feels like you're either telling us that we have to be doormats and be walked all over, right? Or we have to have these aspirations these days as women to be boss bitches, right? And we have to, and we have to find a man who's making at least $100K. Otherwise, he's a loser. He's a dusty. He's a this. He's a that, and done. Even though that's like less than 1% of all men, and he's got to be 6 feet tall. Otherwise, I'll be shamed. And people will laugh at me and be like, "You're a man's not a man." And I have to. And it's like these days, the standards that women are being told that they have to be in order for them to be good women and good feminists and good. Right. I get it. I think the problem is BMT is I think you're getting a lot of those messages as well from like the women, right? And so a lot of times women will tell you how we're perceiving the message. We're perceiving these things. And
I just want you to know you're very wrong. This is the thing
because you told me when actually it's funny because the first person to ever call me a pick me and a mammy, and I have the videos, I downloaded them. She deleted them off her channel, but I downloaded them. It's someone you referenced yesterday. I won't call it out in public. I'll call it out behind the scenes. Right. But it's someone you referenced to me, and I went, huh. Is that where you got some of this from? Well, that makes a lot of sense because I know what she's doing, and that's exactly what she's doing. She's sitting there silencing and shaming women like me. Meanwhile, she's walking around, and then behind the scenes, she's actually scamming women, and she's using exactly that manipulation tactic. She's using that against women. And it's like there's a whole thing that's happening in the girl world that men are almost unaware of in a way. So it's like, on one side, you've got the man thing. Like you said, you speak to and about men because you're about men. That's it, right? But when we're talking about pick me and the definition of pick me and what women are doing with women and whatever, that is where I'm saying, I'm like, I think you're missing some of what has been happening lately just because you're a guy.
Okay, so I'm gonna say this. This YouTube little bubble. I don't really watch people's channels. Like, listen, if y'all nigga channels go past an hour, I tune it out. Hell, past 30 minutes is too much time for me. There's not a lot of people here that can talk to me about power. That can actually, because I show power. I love structural power. Whenever I'm doing things, like whenever me and Arfrey are boots on ground dealing with these sex workers that literally say, my job is to go fish and go get other women. You remember that, Arfrey, where the girl was telling us?
Of course I do.
Of course I do. We're doing these type of shit where this bitch said, I can get other bitches and get them to bend over and do whatever kind of shit to please a man. Like, these women tell me, Arfrey, the shit, and we have to sit down without making a facial, any kind of emotion, and do this shit. We do this.
Yep.
Like, the shit that we deal with is outside of the realm of YouTube. And I think, and the thing about it is, I guess whenever we come over and try to have the conversations, I think I see that it's like there's three types of theirs, right? There's three types of theirs. There's there, and there. The THER, and you have there, THERE, and you have there, there. Like, you know what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? So there's three types. Now, this is why the reference of the there that we speak, I get what you're talking about. Hey, we're trying to tell women to be better women amongst men to make better functional families. You're giving your pick me there. Our pick me there that we are talking on about that of the social family structure from a historical climate standpoint of the destruction of a woman that allows egregious, deranged behavior. It's just like how they're reclassifying gender, how they're reclassifying male and female. To us, of the old guard, male is male, female is female. I don't give a fuck who jumps online with how many subscribers and tells Arfrey, well, this is a male and a female. Well, Arfrey gonna be like, well, bitch, I'm a whole motherfucking goddamn doctor. You're not gonna tell me what I do and how I structurally do it. Just like you are a whole psychologist. You study that of the brain. I am a whole soldier. I am of old ways. So when I speak about this kind of shit, I'm hearing you. I don't watch motherfuckers too much because I deal in that of reality. If I were to start actually dropping who I really am, motherfuckers did not like that. Because then when we were doing the professional panel, motherfuckers were feeling shook some type of way. Why are these high figure people talking this political shit? Okay, so what do y'all want us to talk about? Fucking? Want to talk about pussy? Want to talk about the nigga shit? Okay, so that's what y'all like. When we're talking political shit, the views were low. All of a sudden, when y'all want to talk about fucking and what boys and girls should be doing, now the view, oh damn, Alfred, we done broke over 1,000. See, I noticed that when we start talking holistically on that of how you say, well, let's have a meeting, and we actually talked about the broad spectrum of this shit, these niggas wouldn't give a fuck. They wouldn't give a fuck to hear about. They wouldn't want to hear about us talking about the court or about that and the birthing and all that other shit. They want to talk about that of how do I get this bitch to bend over? How does she know her place? And men do this, and Pookie's fault why he fucked that girl. Nobody wants single mother. Nobody wants the fat bitch. And I said, well, okay, so you want us to talk about that. I get what you're saying, Ruby, very well. Nothing like, well, again, this discussion decision was not written or made by me. Arfrey, whose decision of this show was by? Was it not by? It was by Nichelle. Nichelle wanted to address that of the family. That's why I said the black family in the community. That's exactly why we're discussing. You can't. The saber hoe will take advantage of that of a pick-me. He will fuck her. He will use her. He will say what she needs to hear, but he will never take her to the next level.
We'll and see. He will never value her or respect her. But let me go back to something earlier the sister said. This is very important. Mm-hmm. You keep using the term other women were trying to shame you. So here's what that technically is. Bullying. Mm-hmm. Okay. And we haven't really focused on this show on discussing bullying. But that's a whole nother show.
Right.
Is to talk about how we make sub-communities within people of color voiceless by shaming them, and that's bullying within the community of color or within the Black community. We have always, Mary Magdalene during biblical times, they called her a hoe to shame her. Mm-hmm. That's a whole nother show. But I'm so sorry that you went through that, sis. I'm so sorry that our gender is so fucking malicious that we're afraid of power in other women. There are two types of women. The type of woman that will empower you and the type of woman that will stomp your ass in the ground like she's a Klansman. And that's sad.
Absolutely. It is sad. What's funny is, and it's funny because the women who choose to hate me, like they try to like make it though you're male identify. Like you don't understand how many terms I've learned just because they were hurtled at me, not because I'd ever known them before. So like I'm male identified and mammy, whatever. But what I realize is the more that they speak, the more I realize you don't know me at all. Because if you did, you'd know that not only I have female friends. Just because I have male friends and I was a tomboy doesn't mean I don't have female friends. I have female friends, and I have female friends online even, right? And these that I don't necessarily agree with, and they don't necessarily agree with me. And this one time I was on one of their panels. It was on Elise's panel for people who know people in the space. And it was a bunch of women on there. And I just listened. They decided to start some beef thing or whatever. And I'm like, if I could just speak. And I was like, listen, we as women have a problem. We have a major problem. And the reason why I say that is because we are so destructive to each other. And then we want to come out and say how men are destructive to us, but we are the most destructive to us. I'm like, let me give you guys an example. Y'all did this. All of y'all here did this. So there's a woman had come into the chat. Her name's Cluster B. I had never seen her name before. I'd never seen her in real life, never seen her channel, never. Right. But I had heard her name so much. And I had heard all these women talk about her so much that I could tell you everything. And I'm like, why is that? Why is that people's reputations are preceding them and we are willing to drag each other for filth in front of people we don't even know? Right? Publicly or not. We don't care. We don't care how much and then we think, when these men have a bad opinion of women, it's because men No, it's because look at what we're doing to each other, right? And so we are very bad to each other, but here's the problem. We evolved to be bad to each other. And a lot of people don't realize that. Just like men evolved to duke it out and then shake hands, then now they're done, right? We evolved to be constantly nasty to each other, constantly spread rumors and whatever. It was our method of battling each other. And it was our method of trying to rise up the ranks or to, affect the rankings of, the top girl to the bottom girl, right? Whereas in men, once they had duked it out like 1-2 times, there's no point in them continuing to fight because hierarchies are pretty set. I'm talking about in hunter-gatherer societies, not like now, right?
Yeah.
But hierarchies were pretty set, and it more had to do with, it didn't matter if you could beat the hell out of a dude over here. It mattered when you went out hunting, how much food did you bring back for the entire village? That was really all that mattered. Right? So they didn't really care. So there was no point on men learning how to gossip about each other or learning how to keep. Yeah, right. They didn't need to pick on it. But women, all we really had were our genetics and our reputation. That's all we had. Right? Yeah. So the best way to bring another chick down 10,000 years ago was to do what? The same thing is now. You bring down her virtue, you bring down her reputation. Gossip, gossip, gossip.
Yeah.
That's why it works so well. And that's why women are so nasty and so good at it and will do it for 25 years. And we don't care. We don't even get bored of it. Right. So it's like we evolved to do a lot of things that are no longer really functional in society or aren't really necessary in the same way. And then we just kind of let our animal brain go buck. And then we are upset about the consequences of it. And so we want to blame it on other people. And I'm like, I feel like it's the same thing as the whole pick me or save a hoe or simp or whatever it is. We just keep wanting to other everything else, right? So that way we don't have to like hang on to our own accountability, our own consequences, you know, our own mistakes to say, hey, no, you know what? I'm not perfect, right? I do some of the bad stuff too. I ain't shit too. And it's okay,
That's
right?
right. That's right.
We don't want to own that. We don't.
Right. Because if we all can own that we're all the bad one, then we can be on one page together.
Right.
But if we need to assign, oh, she's the fucked up one, she's the bad one, but my shit doesn't actually stink, then we remain divided.
Right. Exactly.
Let me get it over to brother Shannon B. We have done a lot of content, especially in the non-pandering sector. What's going on, Shannon? How you doing, bro? Shannon B, you there, bro?
Oh, my bad, BMT. Could you give me a second? I'm parking this truck real quick.
It's okay. Like I said, I'm glad now we're actually now meeting that some type of unison of a dialogue. This is why sometimes I do these kind of conversations more so in a controlled environment. And I think that was a good call, Rudy, when you said let's take out the word. And we're looking at it from that of as I said, a lot of people can't hang in certain levels of conversations. It has to be about sex versus that of structural societal accountability. And when you start doing that, in that perception, that's what starts falling flat. You know, I can understand that. I've been in that Captain Save a Hoe phase. I know what it's like to have that type of behavior, to look for that other weak, vulnerable mindset of people who are literally starving out in that of society. So guess what? I was the go-to. I could tell you right now, hell, I used to always get those first and the 15. People would call me, come on over, daddy, come help me out. I was never going to try to save those women. I was never going to try to fix their situation. And at some point, I don't even know some of the women already understood that in the back of their mind. This nigga is never going to get me out of the hood. This nigga is never going to get me out of my mom's house. But guess what? They will keep on doping up in that belief that so long as I walk behind this man, I might get some crumbs. And that's what a lot of women and even some men who a woman will tell them that, listen, I'm not going to change for you. I'm not going to do nothing different of my movement. And so these people have built upon a collateral debt that is insurmountably can no longer be overlooked on what the fuck they say or do. I'm pretty sure at some point, this is why a lot of these talk points like the family court or literally all these out of wedlock pregnancies or hell, when people keep on saying all these aborted things happening. Well, guess what? Captain Saberho has no problem taking that woman down there to the clinic to go abort that baby. Captain Saberho has no problem doggone putting that woman in a financial bind. Goddamn the pygmy, or excuse me, that type of woman, she will doggone keep doping and feeding that beast of a nature of men. She will tell her son, I want you to be a thug. I want you to be this and that. I need
they don't have to necessarily be low class, Joe. Because look at Nick Cannon.
Oh,
Nick
yeah,
Cannon.
that is a Captain Sable.
Okay, let's just sit up there and go.
It's beyond
What
that.
woman? Was it the fifth wife or was the fifth baby mama or the sixth baby mama that was a pick me? I don't care. I don't care how my kids are going to be raised. Pick me to be your baby mama. Pick me.
It's crazy now because now, like y'all, and you know, it's crazy. Men are saying, "Well, he got the money, so wait." First of all, I'm gonna tell you right now. I gotta tell you right now. Listen right now. Any man with money is probably looking at this man crazy. Like, I can't be seen with this dude. Like, there's a certain level. There's a certain level, and I got Pastor Shannon B. That is just reckless in this day and time with all these damn children. It's all these damn children. Huh?
Fatherless children at that.
Go ahead, take over. I gotta. My kid is struggling to breathe. I gotta go.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I really understand the concept of the Captain Save-A-Hole dude, but I'm not all the way getting the pick me. I've heard too many definitions of that. I don't understand it all the way, but
well, since I was the one who basically coined it, a pick me woman is a woman that needs to be with a man at all costs. She is, you know how Donald Trump said, when you got money, women will let you grab them by the pussy.
Oh yeah, that's not
They
new.
lose. That's a pick me. People tend to get on these panels and say pick me's are all in the ghetto and that. No, a pick
Oh,
me
okay.
is a woman
Yeah,
who lowers her standards.
right.
She's never going to be marriage material, but she is the one that is going to just. The man is fun. Pick me for fun. Pick me. No,
Yeah, I get it.
that causes all kind of tie-ups
I
and
get it. I
accidental
get it.
pregnancies.
I've dealt with those then. I DJ'd from 97 all the way to 2020. So I know exactly what you're talking about now. I get it. I get it. Okay.
Well,
Well,
the problem is though, is that that's not how the space, like the manosphere space, is not defining the word "pick me" that way. So that's where there's
that's where I
confusion,
got confused.
probably. Yeah.
Okay.
How is the
Um,
manosphere defined to pick me?
Basically, if you think about a good woman, more traditionally minded, but just generally a good woman who loves and respects herself, loves and respects her man, loves and respects her children. Wants to take care. She enjoys being feminine. She enjoys being a wife and a mother, and taking care of house and home, and setting a good example. Just generally a good woman. That's really what a pick me. That's how they're defining a pick me.
Well, I've heard it called
oh,
pick her, but that's the woman you want. And those are in very mature spaces where they're talking about the type of wife you want. In most of the manosphere spaces, they are talking about a woman. They want a woman, not necessarily a wife. They want a woman. They want to go overseas where they'll be respected, where they can get obedience. If we don't want to use the word submission, let's use the word obedience.
I don't even think they want that. This space has not. This space has to do with sleeping with women. That's all they're trying to do. The morality thing and all this. The space always trips me out when they go to the marriage thing. I'm 45 years old. I have never, ever, 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 ever heard of anybody my age in the 30s or anybody ever talking about marrying no women. Now I've heard women not talk about marrying. I've heard them talk about having kids. I've heard them talk about that. But this idea of this marriage thing that I know where it came from, I haven't seen that out of nobody. I've never heard of people talking about marriage ever.
Exactly.
Kevin Samuels was talking about marriage, and he was probably, I guess, the biggest
He
name
got
with the
rich off
biggest
doing
following.
it too. He got rich, didn't he?
Yeah, well, of course he did.
That's
Hey,
the only
listen,
reason why everybody else was talking about it. But these
Yeah, he
conversations
wasn't
about
talking
marriage,
about
disagree.
a positive marriage. He was
I
just basically
disagree.
telling people why they weren't married. He was telling women
thank
why
you.
they weren't married.
No, I disagree because I knew Kevin Samuels long before everyone else, like before he blew up when he had like 3 followers, right? Because he used to be in the same spaces that I was like, and this is part of the issue. The manosphere is not it's not a monolith, right? And so the problem is, right, is some of the loudest voices, the most obvious ones right now are fresh and fit fanboys, right? And so fresh and fit fanboys are all about sexual, sexual tourism, like, the whole thing. They're definitely not about marriage. In fact, they are literally anti-marriage, right? And so you
Yeah.
get that, or you get the pump and dump dudes, you get the guys who are all about pickup artists and stuff, right? And so that is an aspect of the manosphere. And if you aren't careful, right, your algorithm will just drown you in just that, and that's it, right?
Well,
But
how do you talk about marriage and red pill at the same time?
well, because red pill in and of itself is not anti-marriage, right?
It's
Red
not.
pill, no, definitely not. I'm red pill, and I'm also married. Like, I'm married. I support marriage. I speak about marriage. I talk about the benefits of marriage. And
Amazing.
yeah, absolutely. And that's why I was saying to, like, okay, fine. Maybe he's not manosphere anymore, because honestly, the space has changed a lot in the past few years. But when I first got to this space, most of the people I spoke to on a regular basis, including Cerulean, Just DeAndre, Brother X, all these dudes were married, right? And they were also red pilled, right? And so, because red pill is not about a state of, if you're married or not, right? Red pill is about you being willing to open your eyes, see reality for what it is, see the truth for what it is, right? And move forward with your eyes wide open. That's it. Like, it's not about, oh, well, if you're red pill, you would never get married. No, if you were red pill, you would never marry the same chick that the Captain Save-A-Ho is toting around in his back pocket, right? You want to marry that chick because you understand reality for what it is, and you know you can't turn a hoe into a housewife, right? Or, like, if you're red pilled as a woman, you're not going to spread your legs to try to get the man to really, really like you. And maybe then he'll finally marry you. Like, no, because you see reality for what it is. And you know that even though no man wants to walk around a virgin until he dies or until he's married, the fact is that the man who can easily get the milk from you for free probably is not going to want to marry you easily. Right. So it's just about you recognizing reality for what it is. If there's unfairness, you should be willing to address it, even if it doesn't benefit you, right? So that's why I can look at, biases that favor me as a woman, and I can look at biases that definitely hurt men, right? Like, family court would be one of those places, right? And so, I mean, that's really what red pill is. I think it's just, again, with the fresh and fit kind of thing. I don't know what happened. A couple of years ago, the space changed really wildly, and a lot of the more toxic or kind of like incel messages started to be the loudest ones. And so it's like it's drowning out the other messages and the other channels, but it's not that those other channels aren't there, those other messages aren't there. It's just that's not what's flooding your algorithm all the time,
Well, buckle your seatbelt. This is not an attack on you or anybody else. So the red pill in the marriage talk is a grift. Because I know for a fact the stuff they teach about red pill and the things they teach about marriage is not what they did to get their wives. They're teaching something totally different to keep men single. Because the things they're telling people are not going to get you married. They're going to keep you very, very single. And I know the people that are married that are talking this talk are keeping dudes single. And they're so frustrated. And you see it online. You see it in the chats.
And
So
there's a new thing going on too, because we are seeing a lot of boomers. I mean, let's just be honest.
oh my
Boomers,
God.
X generations moving into a space where you're now talking about hospice care spouses. There are things that,
I'm going on mute.
you're in your 50s, you're still single, maybe you have kids, maybe you don't, but they're entering their teen years or their 20 years. So now you're in a different dating circle. And so it's like, do you want to be a hospice care spouse? The questions you need to ask someone you're dating if you're dating with a purpose. You can't just be dating for fun, but some people date for a purpose. And many of these people, again, don't want to be alone. They don't want to be alone. And
No,
so
they
you
don't.
have to, yeah. And then there's some people that are, again, I used to say, no, there's no fool like an old fool. If a 60-year-old man is talking about, how easy it is for him to get a 20-year-old woman, again,
Oh man.
uh you're not trying to build strong families, because you need to start thinking about how you're going to be out there playing football with your 17-year-old son when you didn't have him until you were 60. These are some of the
Well,
realities that are out there.
I agree with you. I think that's absolutely true. I will say that I do think that definitely, and I talk about this all the time. And the sad thing is, some of these content creators outrightly admit, like I'll never forget it, and I called it out as soon as he said it publicly. There's a moment, maybe 3-4 years ago, where Obsidian said he hopes that black female fuckery, right? That's his terminology for black female dysfunction, right? He hopes it lasts forever so that way he can drain it for every last dollar. Okay? He basically admitted, because remember that all the dysfunctional women are the ones who's paying him out the wazoo. It's the dudes. And you know what they did when he said that? They were hitting the cash out like crazy, right? Yes. So the point is, they were paying him for the privilege of being ripped off. The problem is, though, right? It's not the dudes who are advocating for marriage, or even really for like these pickup artists and all of those people. They might like occasionally say the words red pill, but they're not even advocating red pill. They're not. They're advocating other things like pump and dump and sex tourism and stuff like that, right? And yeah, I agree that those guys don't want people to succeed. They can't, because if you succeed, then you no longer need Buddy over there, right? So you stop paying, right? So they need you to keep failing, right? And so they need to say, hey, I have this dating thing and I'm going to teach you. Okay, so you come and you pay them for the dating thing. But then they also do content telling you, well, if the dating coaching they give you fails, it's not your fault. It's these modern women, right? And so one way or the other, but hey, listen, I'll tell you a trick for how to deal with the modern women. You just come back and pay me a little bit more. Yeah,
a lot of modern women content running around here. I mean, a lot, and it's almost borderline sickening. I know there's some bad women out here, but I know a lot of people are not really looking for good women. The conversations are kind of all circled around one type of woman. And I know that the marriage women are there because there's women I see online and they complain they can't find a good man. And I see other men that say they can't find a good women. And I just always say to myself, why aren't these two people looking for each other, find each other? They're always talking to Brittany Renner and Nicki Minaj and all these other hoes that don't want to be married. They're talking to them. Then you have these other people that are talking to, Lord knows who. Matter of fact, a lot of the women's content, I don't see them talking to nobody. I see them talking to other women, but I rarely see them talking about dudes. Probably the only one I ever seen talk about dudes slightly is what's the Manosphere superhero, the supervillain or whatever?
Cynthia G?
There you go. Cynthia G. That's the only one I ever see mention dudes slightly. You know, I mean, she just called them Dusty. She's really not saying she wouldn't be with one. She's just calling them names. So that's the only thing I see. I see a lot of.
They're not talking about being good fathers. They're not talking about finding a woman that's going to be a good mother.
They're not talking about marriage and none of that. Kids, they don't give a damn about no kids and no none of that. I just, that's what I see. I see that, you know.
Yeah, and it's destroying the black community. Because when you are constantly talking about sexualization and manipulation, you know, we're putting the other side down if, for whatever reason, you know, men in their 20s, you know, sow your wild oats. Women in your 20s, get that bag. You know, check what your mama gave you. Okay, fine. There are women of all ethnic groups doing that. Women are getting older when they have children, decide to settle down. Black women are still a little bit older when they finally, you know, do settle down and get married. Maybe that's a good thing. Who knows?
But men my age and older tell women not to, like, I tell my daughter that. I don't tell my daughter to run out here and get married to the first dude she see. Hell no, man. These niggas ain't trying to do nothing. I tell my daughter that. So I don't.
Thank you.
Yeah, but here's the problem with the difference between what you tell your daughter and reality. And see, this is where now red pill is important. So is it important as a woman, right, not to just latch yourself to the first man who shows some interest, marry him at 17, 18, and then, you know what, when you're screwed in 10 years, you got 6 kids and no prospects, and now he's out sleeping with everybody. Now you're kind of stuck there. Is it important, right, for women to not do that? Yes, I agree with you there. But here's the problem is that these days, right, there are a lot of women who are getting to 35, 36, 38, 40 even. And now they finally feel like they are financially stable, even secure, even successful, right? They feel like, oh my God, I've done all my personal growth and development. I feel amazing about myself now. I'm going to be an amazing wife now. Where are all the men? Right. And the fact is that, well, a lot of men will say, what is the point of getting married if I can't get my 3 children or 3 or 4 children I want and da da da? And well, she's at 40, that's either going to be difficult or very expensive, right? And so it's kind of like you get to a place where what the men want and what the women want isn't lining up based on the fact that we're sending messages to women, but we're not qualifying them, right? So we're not qualifying and saying, no, listen, don't just latch yourself to men and whatever. And yeah, be stable. Don't just rely, need a man for every little thing and whatever. Be able to take care of yourself. But there is a reality of the fact that as women, right, by the time we get to 35, our fertility does start to decline. So if you're going to want kids, you have to be aware of that. And, you should be making a 5-year plan about kids and marriages, whatever, as well, not just your career path, right? But we don't send multiple messages to women. We either tell them, take care of themselves, or we tell them, go be a traditional housewife. But we don't actually really tell them both. And it's creating a problem. And it's not
true.
Just the Western world, it's also creating a problem in Asia.
That's
so
true.
We're all clear.
Hey, yo, let me say this, yo.
It's a global dichotomy.
Hi, Prosper.
It's a global dichotomy. So that
let him talk for a minute.
Hey, yo, let me say this, yo.
Either you're the housewife or you're the scholar who's all alone.
All right, yo, let me say this, yo. Yo, pick-me's don't exist.
Okay. Can you explain?
I didn't think they did.
Pick-me's never existed. That's just a term that's made up on the internet from strags that talk a lot of shit, and then they come at the women that's agreeable with the men. So pick-me's don't exist. You know what I'm saying? That's all a figment of imagination. You know what I'm saying? Because men is wishing for something that is a fairy tale this day and time, and society's finished. So I don't know why people saying like pick-me's exist. They don't exist. You feel me?
I mean, I know, like I said, I know several.
There's no pick-me's. Pick-me's don't exist.
Let me give you an example.
Wait, Michelle, before you go, can you tell us what definition of pick-me you're using that you're saying doesn't exist?
And I said...
All of what y'all saying. All of what y'all saying, pick-me's doesn't exist. What are you talking?
No, I said a pick-me is... Okay, a pick-me is the kind of woman that Donald Trump was referring to when he says, you have money, and when you have money, women will let you grab them by the pussy. In other words, there are certain women that will lower their standards to try to get the attention of a man. That is, at the end of the day,
I told you, there's 3 definitions that are going on here, Rob. That's why I'd like you to tell them
attorneys just randomly talking about locker room talk about Donald Trump saying something in the locker room. Like, what the hell is that?
What I was trying to say before you interrupted me was that I have so many women that come to me and they're like, I thought it was me. Investors. They're the investors. They're sitting up there saying congratulations. That they didn't set the standards. They didn't set the talk. They were not realistic and honest about what they wanted out of the relationship. So I had one woman who sat up there, we're doing a child support case. The guy's loaded. And she's like, he said he would agree to pay me this amount of money. I'm like, that ain't shit. But he bought me a car. That ain't shit. Honey, do you not understand? You are giving this man all your goodies.
So
you got a child by this man. You're giving him all his goodies. Meanwhile, one of my other girlfriends is dating him, and she is setting the tone for this is what I expect. I'm not going to lower my standards.
How is that a pick-me?
So, she was not a pick-me.
Women usually have standards when it comes to dating. Like, how is it a pick-me?
I said my client was a pick-me. Because she would have done anything. She did anything and everything she could.
Women usually do.
No.
Women women who have a conscience and they understand what it is to be with a man, that's what they usually do. The women you're referring to that have all these standards and all that nonsense, and usually they're older, that's who I classify as strags, because they lost their way, they're older, and the thing about it is that they're trying to wish upon the good old days. I mean, there's even many movies that strategize that. I mean, how Stella Got Her Groove Back is a perfect example. A 40-something-year-old woman hunting around for a 20-something-year-old dude because she can't get no dick from older dudes, you feel me? So, strags do exist, but pick-me's, they don't exist. That's not real.
Pick-me's are the kind of girls.
That's a unicorn. That people make up to make it seem like those are women who are
the chicks that will go pick up the guy and they fucking her car because he don't got no car. That's a pick me.
That's not a pick me.
So wait, then Brosberg, you would define Melody as a pick me?
That's still not a pick me, fam.
So what's Melody?
Yeah, she's pleasing her man.
Melody is Melody.
Well, the bottom line is we can lose the terminology, as the other sister already said.
Yeah, I think we should lose the
terminology and define. So when we try to define, is there such thing in the Black community as a dysfunctional, broken woman? Come on now.
Yeah.
Of course
just like there's a broken man. Yeah, there's dysfunction on both sides, but you don't hear this. So I mean, you're not gonna sit up there and say a man is a pick me or a pick man. Like, yo, I'm telling y'all, y'all are saying. Y'all are saying Captain Save-A-Hole. Come on, man. Like, are we serious?
Simp. Yeah, we do. We call them simps. We call them simps. We call them orbiters. We call them Captain Save-A-Hole.
I understand the whole simps and all this other stuff. Yeah, all right, because I use the term, but like still, y'all, whoever it is that just like spoke, like you're not giving a good detailed definition of a pick me. I'm sorry, but like, yo, pick me's don't exist, fam. Like women who understand, women who understand.
We did give a detailed definition before you came on the show.
Listen. Hold on.
That's what he wants. He wants a pick me. He wants a pick me.
I don't care who I get. I don't give a shit who I get. You feel me? Like I just be like, it's whatever. It's whatever the Most High gives to Bronzeberg. Like. But what I'm saying is, yo, pick-me's do not exist. And the definition y'all giving is just a woman who understands what it takes to get a man of her choice. You feel me? Like, pick-me's is a remix. Pick-me's is a remix definition. Before that, it was random ass drags talking shit about a lot of these women on these YouTube streets. Like talking about that British chick, talking about the New Jersey chick, Sweet Melody, and all that other stuff, and call them pick-me's because they was in their fifis because the men was giving them a lot of attention with them super chats, and then with all that attention they was on when they went on those panels. That's what they was calling pick-me's.
I feel you, bro.
Like that's not. That's a remix. That's a remix definition created by some dudes that want to sit up there and say, well, pick-me's get picked. I mean, well, yeah, if a woman ain't on some dumbass shit and she understands what it takes to get a man, then obviously she's going to be preferable and get picked by a man. Like, but that's not being a pick-me. Like, you can't, like, I dare you have this conversation with friends in the real world, and you go around a conglomerate of women at some random party where y'all all drinking wine and some shit, and you sit up there and say, yeah, I'm a pick-me. That doesn't exist. It doesn't exist.
What you're going to find is women sitting in a circle talking to other women and going, bitch, you done been through 5 dudes in the last 3 months. Do you not understand you are pick me? These dudes you are pump and dump. You are pump and dump.
How is it a pick me?
Exactly.
That makes a whore.
That's better terminology that I think
that's not a pick me, that's a whore.
No, forget the terminology.
I did say that.
You're defining it differently.
That's a whore. If she went through, all right, I'm sorry. Let me back up because I don't know if it's a sex life that's included in this, so I don't want to say that. But if you went through like numerous guys within like a 5-month period, the problem is you. That doesn't mean you're a pick me. Like that doesn't make any sense.
I explained that the men in the male spaces define the word pick me differently, and I explained that they reclaimed it from women doing exactly what, and I explained that they do to people like Melody, like me, whatever, where they call us pick me's to shame us for what really, in essence, is just being a good woman.
That's it.
Wanting to have good relationships. So I did explain all of that, right? But their definition is different. So, because we know the sisterhood's definition is different. And I said, you know, and their definition is different. Their definition
is diluted. They defined a whore. That's what they just did.
Show where we define what pick me was.
Okay, so
and the way he's defining it is very different. So, like I said, the host of the show, Joe, defined it as a man. he did not use the same definition that you're using, bruh. You're talking about a trophy wife.
I'm not.
Not the
I'm not
bottom
defining.
barrel.
I'm not
We're talking
defining.
about
I'm not
bottom barrel
defining
Can I jump
anything.
in?
Okay.
Can I jump in? Can I jump in?
Hold on.
Can I jump in?
Wait,
here?
one thing, bro. One thing before you begin, bro. Again, I just told y'all when I came up on the stream that pick-me's do not exist. So how am I defining a term when I say it is not real and it doesn't exist? That's all I have to say. Go ahead.
Yeah, you said you
All right, can I-
did say that, and then you said a lot more. We can play the
What-
recording.
Yeah, I said what
Well,
y'all
let me-
define as hoes.
Okay,
That's
you
what a
want to say
whore.
hoes and women who harbor homosexuals are.
Yeah, let me say this.
Yo,
let
this
me
deflection is crazy.
let me say this. I hear what the guy is saying, but pick-me's do exist, and I just think just the basic definition of a pick-me is a woman who's stupid for a man. Like pick-me's. Can nobody? I didn't interrupt you, my brother. A pick-me would, so for example, a pick-me would be a woman who tolerates a man that's sexually abusing a child in a household. That's textbook definition of a fucking pick-me. Being weak and stupid for a man.
Y'all
Amen.
And that happens all the time. So yes, pick-me's are real.
Pick-me's are not real. Women
They are real.
It's not real.
Okay.
It's
Women
real.
at women at a
That's your
large
opinion.
percentage.
Let's not argue.
Listen,
Let's not
women
argue.
can make bad decisions
Who's
all the time,
backstage
right?
at the concert? A bunch of pick-me's.
women can make bad decisions all they like. That doesn't mean that they are a pick-me. That what are you
Okay,
talking about?
but let me put
like
it like this.
if
When
there's a
you make
woman that
bad-
has a child, if there's a woman that has a child with a man and she later finds out he ain't shit, like I wouldn't call her a pick-me. I'd just be like, you made a dumb decision.
That's
with a
you,
man.
brother. That's what
That's
these
you,
women are trying to
brother.
do.
Like I
Yeah,
said,
they
pick-me's
usually
don't
do.
exist.
They usually
That's
don't
you,
pick
bro.
nobody
Like
else.
that
They
doesn't
usually
exist.
just
That's
that
your
one dude.
opinion.
Fam.
That's your opinion.
So what if it's a man that makes a dumb decision on a
being
woman? What would
stupid?
you, so you don't have a definition for that nigga, but you got a definition for the woman.
The definition is simp. What you talking about?
Bro, come on, man.
If you're anytime,
That's not the definition of a simp, dog.
it is the definition of a simp.
it's not.
Being stupid for a woman is a simp, and being stupid for a man is a pick-me. It's just it.
That doesn't exist.
It exists.
Okay, but what we're saying is, listen.
Yo,
let me ask you a
wait
question. Let me ask you a
Wait,
question.
hold
Whoa,
on, brother.
Wait a minute.
Do you know there's
I
women that
started
call themselves pick-me and they have a thing called the pick-me sphere? So you mean to tell
That's
me?
good for them if that's what they wanna do.
But you just
But let
insulted
me ask
somebody
you a
on the
question.
panel too, though. But that's
Hold
what I'm
up.
saying. So when
Hold
you
up.
say a pick-me, like I'm sorry, I don't mean to air out, but it doesn't Melody call herself a pick-me? So she purposely makes
it's a
stupid
matter.
decisions. So hold on. So that goes to my point. So doesn't that mean she does know that she makes stupid decisions when it comes to men? Melody.
You're going by your definition.
No, I'm going by your definition. No.
Because you saying
If a woman calls herself a pick-me,
you're saying,
just-
I call myself a simp. I'll call myself a simp.
that's good for you, bro. That's dumb. But I mean,
then.
that
Okay
doesn't.
then.
But
All right then.
if Melody calls herself a pick-me, so she's acknowledging the fact that maybe she makes stupid decisions when it comes to men.
That's how she's.
You just said that.
That's how she's.
So she
using
makes
it.
dumb decisions when it comes to men. That's what you just said.
No.
That's what you just said.
No,
That's what I
nigga.
heard.
That's what you just said.
No,
You literally
no,
just said
no.
that.
Listen to what we're saying.
So hold on. So
Gentlemen,
Melody.
Gentlemen.
So Melody, when you claim that term pick me, did you create that term pick me? Who created the term pick me?
I didn't create the term pick.
Exactly.
But you just said. Fam, hold up.
Exactly.
Court is adjourned. Court in order.
Exactly.
Melody, do you call yourself a pick-me? Melody?
Themselves the best version of themselves.
But Melody, do you call yourself a pick-me?
I don't, but other people do.
Okay. So basically, in his
So you
definition,
was wrong anyway then.
No, it wasn't. So look, so basically, he's saying that when it comes to the guys that call you a pick me, they're basically saying you make the dumbest decision when it comes to dating men. That's his definition of what he thinks a pick me is. So that men that call you a pick me is demeaning you every single time you have a panel and every time you go on somebody else's panel, that you are a dumb idiot when it comes to dating men. That's basically what this dude just said.
No, they call me a pick me because I want to be picked.
That's what I heard.
You see what I mean, bro? But his definition says that you're just dumb. The type of men you date.
Joe defined what pick me means in this setting on this show.
And exactly what we're saying is,
Number two, we're not talking about a pickable woman. That's not the definition we were using.
So what's the point of a pick me?
Hold up,
different.
So what's the point?
I said to you, bruh,
they are going to keep talking about dating. They're going to keep talking about dating. We were talking about making a wife.
I'm back.
A mother of your kids. Mother of your kids. Mother of your
He
kids.
is not letting other
Father
people talk,
of your kids.
Nichelle, I'm back, y'all.
Thank you.
Hey, PMT.
Okay,
I have not made a comment in some 20 minutes. I can talk.
I'm back.
Please bring some order.
Yes, I'm back. That's why I even put it up there, Panic Etiquette.
So I was trying to say, Joe, a man defined pick me on this show, and we have panelists who were out to lunch or not listening, redefining what the hell it means. Pick me in the definition of on this show's use does not mean what Melody is defining. Melody is being a pick me, meaning I want to be desirable. On this show, pick me meant bottom bitch.
I mean, can I say this one more time?
Let me do this.
Wait a minute, Joe. Can I redefine this real quick? Because I said our pick me's. I'm not talking about dating. I said our pick me's and pick me's. Listen to what I'm saying. That back in the day, we used to try to choose the strongest person to be our spouse so we could have strong children. So if you pick me to be your spouse, how strong do you think your children are going to be? If you pick a Captain Save-A-Ho, how strong do you think your children are going to be? It's a selfish thing to want to be a pick-me because you're not worried about whether or not this man can provide strong children to you or create a strong father presence in your household. You just want to be picked.
This doesn't make any sense. Y'all gave like 3 definitions this whole entire stream. You got one person. Hold on, I was talking. I'm being interrupted. I am, bro.
Go ahead.
I am being interrupted.
Go ahead.
Y'all gave like 3 different definitions to what a pick-me is. I came on here and said that pick-me's don't exist. The one says she's a bottom bitch. The second one sits up there and talks about picking someone who's going to produce the strongest children. And then the third one...
that's not a pick-me. That's the opposite of a pick-me.
Hold on, let me finish. Then the third one is bedazzling me, like straight, just like it's just so funny to hear what this guy is saying. I just want to hear for the people just one more time from the great liberators. What is a pick me, bro? Because I'm
about to tell you because I'm gonna read the definition right here. That's just because Google is your friend, and what it says is a woman who will do anything for male approval.
Where did you get that?
Urban Dictionary.
Yeah, I knew he was gonna get it from Urban Dictionary. Like they can put in anything they want.
Oh, okay. So the Urban Dictionary is wrong.
You act as if that's the encyclopedia of all definitions.
The Urban Dictionary is wrong, but you're right because it doesn't agree with what you're trying to say, right?
But you got it from Urban Dictionary. Why would I take you serious? They have like 5 different definitions.
Why would I take you serious?
Let him finish. We gave you the respect.
My fault. I'm sorry.
Thank you, please.
Let me just say this. I want to just clarify. Here's the problem, okay? So when you have the women, when they use pick me, they use it differently than the men. And the reason why they use it differently than the men is because even though, right, that Urban Dictionary definition, it's not that it's wrong. That was one of the iterations of the way pick me was being used, right? But then they started including women like myself, just traditionally minded women who believe that men should be the head of a household or whatever, or just disagreed with some of the dysfunctional ass stuff that we basically on this panel are all against, right? And calling women out for some dysfunctional thoughts or behaviors or whatever. And then they'd be like, oh, that's stupid pick me, bitch. So they started using pick me to shame and deride good women who were family minded, who believed in nuclear family and stuff like that. So when the men's sectors decided we're going to redefine, we're going to basically reclaim this, right? And we're going to reclaim the word pick me to mean good women. right? Basically, that's what women who want to be chosen as wives, women who want to be a wife, not just I got to be a partner, or I'll be that one with the pants or whatever, but just like I want to be a wife. I want to work with my husband. I want to have a good family, and whatever. Right? They decided to reclaim the term. So the problem is, though, even though the men decided to reclaim the term, it didn't change the way that the women are using the term. So as of right now, right, and we're talking about colloquial use, right? We have two different groups using the exact same term in two completely different ways. Right. And it's creating a lot of confusion because half of the time that we're arguing right now, we're arguing based on the fact that that you have two different groups on this panel who in essence are using the term very differently whenever they make a statement. And then we're like, every time y'all say the word pick me and then say something that I feel doesn't match up with the way that it's currently being used in the male spaces, I want to buck at it. I don't disagree with what you're saying, though. I just disagree with you applying that to the pick me's. Do you see what I'm saying? So I'm like, we're creating a lot of confusion and
like
dissonance just for using a term instead of just explaining what we mean with what kind of woman we're talking about.
Well, that's why I said real quick. That's why I said they do the same thing with simp. Like in our modern time, being a traditional head of the household man is considered a simp. They're going to call you a simp, even though it may not necessarily mean that. And that's what I was saying.
Simp is short for simple.
The real definition of a simp is a man who will do anything for female approval, or a man who's stupid for a woman. That's it. But of course, in these conversations, brother, I'm talking, brother. I'm talking. You can, you know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is, in these conversations, what the sister said is right. People will expand it, because really what these evil, wicked, untoward niggas doing is they're trying to include the good qualities that anybody would want out of a husband and out of a wife, and make it derogatory with their self-destructive asses. This is what they're doing with their commentary. The most unmarried group of men and women on the fucking planet, in the history of the planet, and they're the experts, they're the gurus. The married people are wrong. The women who understand how to fall into a role that's amiable with their husband are wrong. And all these self-destructive, most unmarried, most uncoupled, hypersexed and oversexed niggas are right. And these are the people who are dominating the conversations, and this is why you have this confusion, because misery loves company.
Go ahead. Thank you, Mary. Go ahead, Shannon. And then after that, I'm gonna want to just give my rebuttal on some of the stuff.
Yeah, the simp is short for simple. It's a Bay Area word, Simple Simon. It meant a person that was married. He wanted his wife. He doesn't want to be part of it. It was made up by pimps. That's where the word came from. I know they distorted and got 9 million definitions now, but that's what it meant. It was short for Simple Simon, and they perverted it. Kind of agree with the other brother. They want to be dicked or want to be in a relationship. They're in it. The people that want to be married, they're in. They're married. The bad thing is just scripture, and they look at married that are telling people how they married, but they're not telling what they did. Because what they did has nothing to do with what they say. They're saying things totally different. They're telling you and cleaning all and telling no man they gotta make $1 million a year. That's not how you get a man. That's not how you get a woman. That's what's going on.
You're borging real bad. You're borging real bad.
Yeah.
Give me a second.
If y'all are in the chat, please like, share. We have amazing content creators, all content creators. You do have that of the BMT committee. Like, please, y'all want to take this talk and definitely build on it in your own rights. You have that full on right. I always do that with people I work with. That y'all can also take it to y'all's and also build upon it. Again, and this is why when me, Ruby, and Dr. A, it was just us on the panel, we took the word out of our discussion and literally started hitting at it from a systematic and political discussion. And it literally, so when we started tackling from that projection, because we already explained that there's three theirs. There's three levels. There's three hindsights of how the pick me is being looked at. Like how that's why when Mary was on earlier, we went through the history projection and we broke it down on how certain words start changing throughout. Well, being a stepdad was one way. Oh man, that's fine. Like I get it. Like I don't have a family. That woman lost her family either to the civil movement, or he was killed, or he walked away, and me and her matched up. Now you have it now. You're a stepdad. You're lame. You weak. You're beta. You're cuck. And it's amazing to me. I'm like, well, what the hell? What's going on? When the dominant society,
Yeah, that's sad.
I mean, you got no offense, but goddamn majority of goddamn Negroes, you were stepdaddied into existence because you damn sure wasn't fathered by your original father on a goddamn field or throughout life. Shit, majority of y'all, no offense, the guy who you call granddaddy possibly might not even be your actual granddaddy. That's actually a pretty good 60%. He just was there and he just never left. So, same thing as we found out a lot of grandmas, well, that's my grandma. No, I'm actually not your grandma. Usually a lot of women have told their children or their grandchildren, I'm actually your grandma. Your mama brought you here and just never came back. I just kept you and took you down there to the state office. I filled out the paperwork. Back then, you didn't have to really show a goddamn birth certificate. You came to the goddamn welfare office with a baby. What do you need? I need help. They put y'all in the system and y'all, that was it. That was the blended family. The system really was just blending people together in brick and mortar buildings. This is why it's very interesting about that of the dichotomy of the woman that man got out or man couldn't get a job. She picked him up, picked me. She picked him up and took him in. Hey, I'll feed you, I'll clothe you. Just make sure you look out for me and my children. It got perverted with goddamn throughout the heroin and crack epidemic, where after a while, Negroes were doggone taking advantage of shit. I can get a free hot cot in the meal as long as I goddamn come here. Or some people did the trauma bonding stuff. These things happen. Now, again, when I said like it's a multi-layered discussion. I get some people saying that these terms don't exist, but the outline behavior mannerisms do exist. You know what I'm saying? They do exist on how we're seeing people react. There's a video I was supposed to show of a woman telling other women that the best key advice for you to do for a man is to go bring your man other wives. Now, hang on, let me I was supposed to play that video. Hang on, let me go ahead and play that video real quick, and then I would like y'all trajectory starting out with Dr. A. I know she hasn't got to speak, and then I would definitely like y'all trajectory on this conversation. But listen to what this woman's saying, how women can make their husbands happy. Melody, if you want to come back, please come on back here. Let me go ahead and play this video. Fair use, fair use. Can y'all see it?
Yeah, you good.
I'm not sure. Can y'all see the video? Okay.
Yeah, we can see it.
Let me go ahead and play. Okay. So go ahead and mute up and let's get this out.
Trust me, the moment you accept this, your life's going to change. Men need more than one woman, and men crave more than one woman. See, the thing is, we don't want to say this to ourselves. We prefer to say, I'm enough, but it has nothing to do with you. As a matter of fact, when you understand this and have this real talk with your husband, the bond you have with your husband will be unbreakable. You need to bring more women for your husband. Trust me, the moment you accept this, it's going to change. Men need more than one woman, and men crave more than one woman. See, we don't want to say this to ourselves. We say, I'm enough, but it has nothing to do with you. As a matter of fact, when you understand this and have a talk with your husband, when you understand this, the bond you have with your husband will be unbreakable.
Okay. That was brought to you by the Pick Me Spear, one of their best messages of their content creators. We don't know her, but she is a pick me.
Clearly pandering.
She's not pandering. No. That's just telling the truth.
No, but she's not the pick me
No,
here. But
she's pandering.
She's a
not
different
pandering.
No, but that's a different religion. That's a different religion. When you
That's
have
a different
religion,
culture.
right, and a different culture that has multiple or plural wives, right, then you can't compare that to people who don't come from that culture because it's a different thing. So we're gonna call it pandering. It sounds crazy to us, but they believe in plural marriage. So.
Can I just
Yeah, but she said she didn't relegate her advice to that group of men though. She said
For
men
what?
very she
She's
said
talking to
men.
women.
I'm talking. She said men very generally because I agree with you and I'm not against polygamy, but what I am against is I'm against polygamy for a group of men who don't deserve it, and
Okay.
that's primarily Western men. Like you,
So
do we really? Oh, I'm
that's
talking.
wrong.
I'm talking.
Well,
Do we
hurry up and
really
make your
think?
point.
If you stop interrupting, I can get to the point. No, it ain't gonna take long because it's very simple. If contemporary men in American society, particularly black men, were as concerned with actually doing the work that men are supposed to do instead of how many women and they can get under their belt to define their masculinity, then they wouldn't be on the bottom economically. A lot of them don't even have the economic wherewithal to support multiple wives. But what they really want is going back to what the brother was talking about, because we have a culture that's totally immersed in being ran by this whole pimp shit. Because what they really want is they really want multiple wives so the woman can do the work and then they can reap the benefits as the man, and now they feel manly and masculine. Let me tell you something. If a man is worth his salt, and if a man is as great and an exceptional man as these guys want to stylize themselves, your wife ain't gonna have to go get wives for you. She ain't gonna have to go recruit for you because you're attractive to you. So they full of shit. They don't deserve multiple wives. As far as I'm concerned, they don't deserve one. Get to work. Y'all got work to be doing. All this
So
jaw jacking online all day, running your mouth a mile a minute, while you as a group of men, black men, have yet to reach income parity with white men in this American society, but got so much to say. You need to be working,
all right,
but they don't want to hear that.
all right, so what he's saying right now is a trope because they always want to use finances to get at black men all day long and sit up there and talk about, well, y'all don't do this and y'all don't do that. First of all, it's a different culture. The thing about it is, in different cultures and societies, they accept the fact of the matter that a man has more than one woman. The problem with men is they focus too much time on women. So there is a side to what you're saying is true. But the whole entire finance thing, I'm not denying that men need to do better, but we still have to regard the fact of the matter that the middle class is shrinking, and then we act as if the white man is like the standard of good wealth. Asians earn more than white men in this country, so like stop.
And yet I don't see
wait,
Asians running around asking for multiple wives, do I?
Okay, like so.
Why is it the American American black male talking about multiple wives?
It's the Western country, bro.
I don't see Asians and Indians doing that.
Oh my God. Yes, Indians definitely do that. They have more.
I didn't say they don't do it. What I'm saying is,
so,
I don't see them sitting there talking about. I don't see them sitting there talking about it when they don't have the economic wherewithal for that.
Monogamy is the standard. So anytime you hear a woman who's cool with a man having more than one woman, of course it's gonna sound like, what you talking about? Why are you talking about that? That's disrespectful. You don't deserve it and stuff like that, because it's taboo to you. It's taboo to all of us because we're not used to that type of culture. Like the whole entire thing is why this is how we know like men are not destined to just be with one woman. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that if you can handle it. If you can't handle, all right. I mean, if you can handle dealing with more than one woman, cool, do it. But if you can't, and you know you can't, don't do it. That's something I've always advised. But there's no problem with a man having more than one woman. You know what I'm saying? Especially if in a marriage, especially in marriages I didn't see, regardless of race in this society. Who is getting the most praise now in this society? Side chicks. Because they know the fact of the matter that when that dude gets sick and tired of dealing with his main chick, he's going to want that extra puss on the side. So she's the side chick, and so he's going to her because she makes him feel good. So that proves the theory that men are designed to have more than one woman. But the only problem is, in this society, it's all about monogamy because that's what we're conditioned to.
So
that's all that is.
So let's look at this. So,
okay, can I ask a question? Can I ask a question real quick? Because, I've dealt with Muslims. I've actually dealt with Muslim men and women.
I raised my hand first. I got my hand up first.
Okay, sorry.
Was talking.
So let me. The reason why I say it hasn't been working in the broader spectrum of society, Because right now, even in the Islamic culture, they're now starting to even have a pushback about the kids of the second wife. They're like, yo, I didn't like the way my mom was being treated. I didn't like the way that we were. If you're like the second or third, you're not gonna get the same treatment as the first family. You're really not. And these kind of things are starting to surmount and add up. Just like we're seeing over here with that of the Mormons. Shout out to the sister wives and different other relationships. Like these kids that are born into these type of habitats, they're not really giving a holistic man. I enjoyed that my daddy had multiple babies. That mom was like, they're not holistically speaking well on this. Like, if anything, we're seeing the opposite effect of them looking at like it's not worth it. Like, majority of kids born in polygamy families don't even follow polygamy. They don't.
It's a lot of conflict. And see, this is the
Right.
thing. Monogamy is the best social arrangement for the betterment of children. But what you have to understand with these Americanized Western Negroes is they only view children as the undue consequences of their sexual exploits. This is why I say that they're hypersexed and oversexed, and this is why I'm saying what I'm saying as it relates to polygamy.
Right.
As a matter of as a matter of practice, I don't really have a problem with polygamy. But what I'm saying is that there needs to be a standard that a man should have to meet in order to even be considered to have more than one wife. You have many brothers who don't have one successful relationship, monogamous relationship with a woman of any extended period of time that shows that he's capable of protecting and providing and guiding and being a wise steward with the life of his wife and the children by her, and then he wants to bring another woman in. And I'm gonna tell y'all something, because originally my spiritual belief system was Hebrew Israelitism, right? There's the whole polygamy thing there, right? And the reason why I say what I say is because I got to peek behind the veil as it relates to that. And what I can tell y'all, not for all, but just a lot, it'd be a lot of nigga shit. They be in there having lesbianism, having threesomes, doing all kind of wild shit. It has nothing to really do with nation building or the stuff that they want to make it about, because the principle of nation building is power. Has nothing to do with how many women or children you have. It's all about power. And a man can create power with one woman if he's so inclined. That's why I'm saying what I'm saying is I don't really have a problem with it, but it should have to be a standard that men have to live up to, and that's just what it is.
Like I said,
Can I say something? My
go ahead.
hand. Okay. What I want people, the men's first reaction was, it's pandering. The women were like, oh, but that's a different culture. Okay, men, what if your woman brought you another woman? Y'all not even machismo like Islamic men are. That woman had on makeup, glittery makeup at that. And I don't know if you've been in the Islamic society. That is a shame to her husband, to her brothers, and to her fathers for her to appear in public. Even if her husband had multiple wives, she didn't go out and fetch them for him. That's not the role of a woman. A woman doesn't dictate what is going to arouse a man. That is not a traditional woman's job in the Islamic religion or the Mormon religion. That
Yeah,
is some
that's how,
perverted,
you're right about that, Michelle.
perverted.
That's how I know she couldn't have been Muslim, because
Right.
Muslim women don't go out to go find other wives. For that's actually that of a male's job to go find another wife. A woman stepping to another man, that could have her brains bashed in or her beaten
Okay.
severely. Like that's how I know. Like, you definitely ain't no damn Muslim. That was a pretty nice, you know, outfit that she had on, but it
Right.
And
looks.
even in the Arab world, even though that world is polygamous, it's only reserved for those men who can afford it. It's not. It's you don't have the bottom of the barrel, lowest totem pole male sitting there trying to have multiple wives. He's allowed to have the wives he can afford. And this is what I'm
Right.
saying. Just as us here in America, I think this speaks to the male entitlement. Listen, everybody wants to talk about toxic masculinity, but what it really you have going on is toxic mediocrity. You have a lot of brothers who are mediocre and have all these demands for their mediocre shit, and they want these women to substrate themselves and prostrate themselves to their mediocre performance, and then like what they're trying to do is tell a woman that's just your natural role. No, man, in a real structured patriarchal society, nah, that's not for every man. See, they don't understand. I'm very patriarchal, which is why I'm hard on men and women.
Let's go to Dr. A. Go ahead, Dr. A. You have the floor. Please, no interruptions. Go ahead, Dr. A.
Thank you, Joe. So the way that I firstly interpret the video is this. Okay, I am on this show as a doctor. I am a doctor. What does that mean? It means I did training, college, medical school, residency, board exams to call myself a doctor. This chick who's acting like a husbandologist or a marriageologist, she can't be more than 25, number one. Okay, how long have you been successfully married? Because I know people who've done it 43 years. They're still not a marriage expert. So in other words, who in the flippin' F are you, little girl, to be speaking about what a man wants? You barely know what the hell you want. So social media and its ability to make some ignorant asshole an expert based on what? What was your training? What did you study? What's your experiential life compass that makes you wise, smart, or a goddaggone expert? I can't stand the fact that Pick Me Spear is stupid as shit, and rather than them hire people who are real experts about marriage and relationships, you want a simple ass. That's what she is.
That's like I said earlier.
How is she part of the Pick Me Spear? What's her name? Who is she?
Like
She
you're
doesn't
just saying
represent
she's
No, she's not. She's not. You're the adult, brother. You're the adult.
Right.
But Ruby, look, can I say this one thing?
Someone
like,
said she's a spokeswoman for Pick Me Spear.
Hold on. She's not though.
She's not.
How's that? How could you, this? She's not even It's not even qualified for you to even
Well,
say
then
that.
remove that part of the statement. Use your brain and take the rest of what I said.
What do you mean? All right, look, this is a thing, yo. It's like I'm hearing like two different things in which it tells me a lot of y'all are thinking very small-minded, because it's, again, it goes back to my point. Y'all are very taboo. Hold on. I didn't call you small-minded. I said, yo, look, I'm saying y'all are not open to understanding how it goes around the other world. The reason why y'all think like this is because y'all been in the United States y'all whole life. And the thing about it is they've told you, hold on, wait a minute, hold on. Y'all been in the United States, y'all was raised just like how I was. In the United States, I was taught you supposed to be with one woman, you supposed to get married, have children, da-da-da, this, that, and the third. When we start looking at other cultures, this is not a taboo subject. They have no problem with a man having multiple wives and having multiple children. Now, I get the fact of the matter what BMT is saying, that, it is fathers out there that will not treat children the same as their firstborns or the first family. I do understand that. I agree with that. Like, I agree with him when he says that, right? But we can't neglect the fact of the matter that marriage to you is going to be different in the United States than how it is going to be for someone that lives in another country. So for you to call her a little girl and this, that, and the third, you're just throwing ad hominem attacks and saying nonsense because you don't understand what type of culture she comes from. And it's just like, you just have to be open to understanding.
You make a lot of assumptions that are false.
You just made assumptions on her. You don't even know her.
And you
sat there and said
on me, son.
If she were in the Muslim world,
so like I said, y'all don't know that because do you know what country she's from? Do you know what country she's from?
If she's from,
Nick Cannon. This Nick Cannon shit in the conversation.
Nick Cannon, but those women accept him, right?
Exactly. Yeah,
okay.
This
Nick Cannon can do whatever he wants. Oh wait, and let's say this too. Hold on, because I know y'all already did this. Y'all always do this. Y'all and y'all fifis. So just like when it comes to Nick Cannon, wait, BMT, because I was on it. Hold on, I was really on it.
You started off good too.
Look,
yeah, let him finish.
I love it when people want to throw shade at Nick Cannon and then sit up there and say, "Oh well, Nick Cannon, da da da, this, that, and the third." Well, how do you know he's a dope boy? He's a great businessman.
No, I said run it. Let's hear it.
Nick Cannon, a lot of people throw digs at Nick Cannon because he's having babies with all these women and stuff like that. Can he financially support them? Yes. There has been no complaints, as far as I'm concerned, with anybody saying that Nick Cannon is not being a proper father to his children.
How do you raise 12 kids and you're not in the house with them?
Hold on. There has not been any complaints from the mother of his children that I know so far that said he is a bad father. Again,
Mariah Carey.
Again, I'm gonna keep saying it because you keep interrupting and
y'all stop interrupting the brother. Yeah, let him go.
Go ahead.
I have not heard any of the women that are mothers to his children give him a bad name and say he is a bad father. All I've heard is that Nick Cannon had a baby number 12. He's having a baby number 13. And a lot of y'all berate him because he's a Negro, because he's black. And the fact of the matter, y'all are not used to men who are able to be financially secure, taking care of children that is his. There is no other baby mama and all this other stuff. He's taking care of the kids. Like I said before, y'all can make this argument all day. And to the woman that disrupted me and stuff like that, again, you have to understand the culture. The culture is different. So, of course, you live in the United States or living in North America, you're used to monogamy. Now, when it comes to men putting on a show, when they sit up there and talk about, yeah, we deserve to have all other women. Yes, it does depend on your financial status. It does depend on how much you make and how much you can do. Because I don't even believe if you don't got jack shit when it comes to money, you shouldn't be courting a woman right now. You understand what I'm saying? Okay. Like, so we agree on that. But like I said, sometimes y'all brothers use that as a trope to just dig at fellow black men, and it's lame because it's like you try to sit up there and create the status quo as if black men are just naturally broke, and that's not even true. Like you gotta understand at times, and you gotta understand that, but that's the way you came across.
No. Hold on. Let me respond to that real quick.
You literally just said that.
Hold on, Mary. Let Shannon respond, and then you can
okay. Go ahead, Shannon.
I want you
that Nick Cannon crap.
We want the ladies like Ruby to get in. Go ahead, Shannon.
You cannot have 12 kids in 12 different homes and call yourself a man. You ain't raising shit. How you gonna raise kids on the other side of the country? How do you do that? You can't do that. This is all the stuff y'all talking about, this black community crap and the problems in it. Those are the problems. There's 12 little old kids running around here. With women, of course ain't no women complaining. I wouldn't complain either if I get pregnant by a millionaire. That's some stupid crap.
That's a good point you just made. That's a good point you just made. That's it. Hold on, real quick, Miss.
Real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
Is in court. Mariah Carey is in court now, asking for a change in his parental rights because of all these children. She says that it's a moral compass for her children that is not in line with the standards he's trying to raise her children within.
You cannot install values from across the country.
Now, can I? Let me respond to what Brownsburg was saying, because, like I said, in principle, I have no problem with polygamy. I'm intelligent enough to understand cultural relativism. But this is what I'm saying specifically as it relates to black men. For me, it's a matter of priorities. I'm gonna tell a quick story. So I'm working on this major multi-million-dollar real estate deal. I was fortunate enough for it to fall into my lap for me to get in on it. So there's an associate where I guess he's still an associate. There's an associate of mine who I was trying to do some business with earlier last year, but that deal just didn't work out. So I was like, well, this would be good for me and him to work on this. And so I can put him in on a project this lucrative, so he can put some money in his pocket and change the trajectory of his life for him and his family. Because from what I understand, he has a lady, already has a daughter, right? So we did everything we needed to do at the property. Then afterwards, we went to lunch, and we supposed to be talking business. And so we went to some buffet. And so while we're sitting there talking, and we're talking about, millions of dollars. This is something that could change my life, your life, the life of your woman, your children. And while I can barely eat. I'm not even thinking about the food. I'm thinking about this money. How can we get this money? How can we make this power move as black men? And like I said, put ourselves in an entire another an entire another stratosphere, right? So I was sitting there talking. Trying to deal down on these details, and let's work the kinks out and stuff like this. Let's come up with our game plan, how we gonna work together to make this thing a success. And every time a woman got up from her table to go get a plate of food, he would get up. He would just get up and go follow the woman around. Man, you seen that ass? And then go walking behind her. And I'm 41. He's 10 years my senior. Man, you seen her? And and a lot of times you could tell that these were young women ain't stunned him. You know what I'm saying? Ain't thinking about him no more than the man in the moon. But he can't even focus. He can't even focus on this opportunity that I'm putting in front of him to change his life, his economic destiny, the economic destiny of his wife and his children. The only reason why I say the stuff I say is because this has been our mentality and our modus operandi as Black men. Not all, maybe not even most, but enough of us. And that's why I'm saying what I'm saying about the polygamy issue and the economics is because it's a distraction, especially for a group of men who are the least advantaged in American society out of all male groups, but who are the most sexually entitled. It's a distraction. It's all about priorities for me personally. I like with Nick Cannon. I don't have no problem. Yeah, you're right. You know what I'm saying? He having kids or whatever. That's on him. He can afford them. He like it. I love it. But when we're talking about what we need to be drilling down on as Black men, it's about priorities. Power first, principle second, pussy third. Can we do that?
Okay.
I think you made a very valid point, and I'm gonna throw this in there. I do know about Muslim culture. I've had to handle Muslim divorces, and as far as Islam and Mormon culture, I do interact with Lutherans, and it is slightly different. That in their culture, in Lutheran culture, it's more about bringing on extra women. It's not the sexualization. They don't share the same bed. They only if they're poor do they share the same house. Usually the same way in Islamic worlds that they have a compound, and it's about creating additional sons to work the land, manage the wealth that their grandfathers have already left them that they're trying to expand, and they want strong sons to be able to manage better. And I met the son of the Saudi king, and I'm looking at him like the two sons. And I'm like, so you're the prince. He's like, no. I said, but you're bigger. He's like, I'm 14, but I'm the son of the second wife. By law, there are laws in these countries where the first son of the first wife is the one who inherits. In Africa, women do not inherit. It is the first son or the oldest male adult male that inherits. So these countries have laws. In the United States, we allow for serial monogamy. Donald Trump has had 3 different families. That is okay. He wasn't in the household with his first wife's kids, his second wife's kids. He's been in there with his third wife's kids. That's what we've accepted in this country. Men are not polygamous, but they have multiple wives. They just don't have them at the same time. And in a lot of African cultures, when a man takes on the second wife, he's not necessarily ever sexually active with the first wife. She's done her job. She's done an heir and a spare. She's happy now. Let him move on. That she doesn't have that sexual obligation any longer. She can share it. So let's get back to what we were originally talking about. Whether you want to call them weak women, weak men. I know we'll have to argue about the definition of weak. What's a weak woman? What's a weak man? I don't want to spend the time arguing about definitions. Whether a woman
gives too much. Why don't we say dysfunctional? Because I think we all might think different things are dysfunctional, but at the end of the day, I think we mostly agree on what dysfunction is.
Okay, dysfunctional people. Dysfunctional people who are not worried about the strength of the next generation. Dysfunctional men and women that are all about, as we've said, their immediate sexual appetite, their immediate fun. So they're producing more children than people who are concerned about the strength of the Black community. When you see these married couples, the majority of them are sitting up there going, we're going to have as many kids as we can afford to send to college or to trade school. They are thinking about the strength of their family. So
Yeah,
these people that are running around on social media talking about, yo, man, you need a woman like this. You need a woman like this. Oh, honey, you need a man that's going to sell you to Paris before. They are not worried about the next generation. You find a fool, that's a fool that's going to pay, sit up there and pay you to go to Paris to have sex with him. He's not going to be a very competent father. You don't want this man giving advice to your son. You don't want this man giving advice to your daughter. He shouldn't want you to give advice to his daughter.
I'm starting to understand the concept of why Ruby is saying stop laying with these type of men. Like, the polygamy shit don't work in a first world country. I'm in a first world country. I don't care about them other licks of barren wasteland areas. Like, I just don't. It's not my flight. It's not like my plight. We're in the first world country. If you want to go out there and say you that's you. That's you. You got niggas nowadays sharing wives, sharing women. This is why the STI and STD rate is high. And you got men out there, men and women now sharing mates now, like dummies. So if that's your strength, it's on you. We know it doesn't work holistically in America. You goddamn niggas are so proudly being baby mama, baby daddies and shit. And saying I'm gonna watch her kids and shit because my baby father gotta go to work. So y'all look dumb as fuck. Nobody's praising you. I guess nowadays there's so many of y'all now that I guess it's now has to be. This is why I guess they got the teen mom shows and all these other shows. And then I would say, well, white women do it too, but it hasn't been working out so well for the Negro army lately. It hasn't been really working out well. And Big Mom was dead and gone. She done rolled over and croaked the bucket. This shit ain't playing out too well. Like when we start to do the math, I don't care about what the Africans are doing, but when Africans get over here, they drop that polygamy shit. When all these other races start getting over here, they drop that polygamy shit. But they're like, oh shit, the fuck I look like sharing my house and my mortgage. You ain't paying my mortgage. Like these niggas ain't doing that. They ain't doing this community shit when they start making money. They start doing it's us versus them, my family, and not doing this running to the court with their 9, 8, whatever shit. It's that judge. He's gonna call out two names, two party members, and then after that, your ass is gonna stand before them. And I bet you ain't gonna say, "Well, let me call wife 1, 2, and 3, or husband 1, 2, or baby daddy." Usually, when y'all niggas don't even like going to court, being proud to say, "I'm baby daddy 1, 2, and 3." When y'all niggas start saying that shit, that's lower hanging fruit talk point. When I start actually having a power dynamic, like women don't really smile when they go before Dr. Offray and literally say, I'm the third baby mama. Like, they don't feel happy saying that shit in front of a doctor. They don't feel no pride saying that shit in front of a judge that they're number 2 or 3. Like, they don't. That's not something that y'all like. We're not playing the goddamn reindeer games here. I don't know where this nigga babble shit be creeping in. This is why I understand Ruby and Melody on these points. Like, do better. But when y'all niggas saying I'm happy, I'm the fucking wifey and shit, and y'all showing the goddamn. Then when y'all niggas die, like we know these niggas are dying and croaking, then you like, oh shit, I'm not in the fucking will. What the fuck? Yeah, bitch. Of course you wasn't in the fucking will. You the wifey, not the wife. You were just the fuck toy. You were picked.
Exactly. Exactly.
So now you won your prize. You picked your fate. Now you got to answer to that. This is the thing about it. Where
Exactly.
this is what I'm saying. Like this is no. Here's the thing about it.
Well, how many black people have a will? How many
Huh?
black people are financially literate enough, let alone functional enough that even if they are functioning, they got jobs, they might even own stuff. I mean, we ain't shit as a community, okay? Most of us don't have retirement funds. Most of us don't have life insurance. Most of us don't
Why
have.
do we keep telling that lie?
Because it's not a lie. It's not a lie. It's not a lie.
No, Ruby, you're right about Ruby. You're right about that. You are so right about that.
they were screwed. They were screwed. There was no will. There was no insurance for that. There was no nothing. And they're sitting there constantly putting out these, listen, can someone help me fund the funerals, the fourth one this year because of COVID or whatever? Let's not lie, man. We have to be honest about the types of issues that our community is really facing. But yeah, we can sit there and try to blame it all on the ancient bitches who want to lie down with ancient Jews. But at the end of the day, we have to recognize that even as functional people, a middle class who are working really hard because we weren't raised in certain ways, because it's not as popular for us to be born to financially literate people who then understand that they should be conditioning us from childhood to be literate in all of these things. We just live day to day. We live month to month. We live year to year. And we just, man, you better hope that by the time you get your shit together enough to figure that kind of stuff out, you haven't died yet. See, real talk.
Now, Ruby, we're trying to, now here's the thing about it.
No, what I was saying, Joe, is
hold on.
Look, 1/3 of us are poor.
Let me get my rebuttal to that.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me get my rebuttal. I get you saying that everybody doesn't have that type of funds in their bank account. That is fair. But at the end of the day, I'm just looking at it. When it comes down to that of certain types of parameters of things that happen, right? Baby mama will never beat the fucking wife. They never beat the wife when it comes down to it. When that nigga steps back and they get in the courthouse, if that wife comes in there, they're gonna be like, oh shit, that bitch is here. Like we are discussed, the ex-wife is not a baby mama. That's your ex-wife. The baby mama is just that, a baby's mama that you fucked. Like that's the thing about it. So this is the parameter of with that we're looking at in these conversations. That's why I said, like, I get all the talking points of where they're happening at. America did not mind calling the rich selected white men. Like right now, Joe Biden's son is dealing with baby mama drama. He got a stripper pregnant. Now the stripper wants her baby to have the Biden family's last name. That is something going on right now. You got the lower select trying to say, hey, be proud of that baby that you had with that stripper Biden. The Biden family, like, oh, hell no, we don't want to claim this type of shit. This is stuff that you pay to go away. Now, this is all in front of America right now that Biden has to say, damn, I knocked up an escort of the night. And now all the world. Now, why ain't he happily say, well, I already got one family. I should be proud of the stripper too. He ain't trying to do that shit. He trying to say, fuck. Now everybody knows that my family's name, whether however they feel about it or not, now has an attachment added onto it. This is where the reality check. And I don't know why niggas be doing the Special Olympics are trying to make I the goddamn baby mama. I'm number 2 or number 3. Like this shoddy low shit. This is why I said, like, we're trying to know. This is what happened with the generational curses of where people have been born into this type of mindset for so long. You start telling yourself it ain't nothing wrong with being number 2 or number 3 in the race. I raised my kids to be number 1, not to accept number 2 or number 3. Like the fuck I look like, nigga, back the fuck up. Just like I would never listen. Ain't no woman gonna ever say I could be happy with sloppy seconds. My nigga just finished fucking me, but you can come eat my pussy. Bitch, please. Nigga, I'll go take my dick elsewhere. I'm not taking no sloppy shit like that. I got my dignity. Like, this is where now people are accepting these or being told that you have to be the wife, you got to drop your drawers to be the wife. Like, I'm not going to marry you, but I at least want to try out your goods. But nigga, how the fuck I know you're going to take me down the aisle? That's what the girl going to supposed to say. Like, there ain't no guarantee in that shit. But then the nigga, he has to be like, well, shit, if I really want to fuck with you, well, the woman say, I need you to do husband duties. Wait, what is the parameter of this husband duties? See what I'm saying? Like, when we start talking about the actual building blocks of fundamental society, these motherfuckers can't spit in that. I get what you and Melody are talking about, Ruby. I get what Dr. A and I demonetize and go against. So I can understand where we both come together in this talking point. Feel me? Like, this is why a lot of women, when they start talking about, hey, y'all ladies, Here's how you wear your dress. Here's how you should wear stockings and you wear your heels. Like Arfie likes to wear heels. When she starts telling women how to dress, women start getting very disgusted about Arfie. But she has a certain standard that, listen, if you want to be this type of woman in my profession, you have to come correct. Now, is she being a pick me? No. She's just telling you, listen, I'm telling you how you get picked for this type of job or how you get into the doggone this type of level. Men are going to look at, if you coming in and look like a buck or broke bum bitch, he's not going to want you to represent his client, be like the forefront of his goddamn business. We can agree on that. They're never going to put the raggedy broad in front of the goddamn fucking Mustang.
That's right.
They're going to put the aesthetically pleasing woman that literally can speak with a vernacular. Y'all, we've all seen Wheel of Fortune. Did they pick the woman with the speech impediment and that's walking around sloppy in front of the goddamn thing, touching the letters? No. They get the woman that can wear the dress, walk around, do all that. Same thing for the guys. You didn't start seeing the Marty McFlys and the weirdos. They wanted to be in the inclusion, in the illusion. That's why these situations are happening when they say it's okay to come in last place. It's okay to be a failure. It's okay to be a fuck up. Like, you're still winning. No, and this is why we're getting dragged along with the filth. I don't believe in the No Child Left Behind. Fuck that. Everybody can't make it to the promised land. God said that himself. Let the weak be sifted out. So we all can't make it now. Like, we gotta stop doing this participation trophy shit. Like, no, fuck that. You want to get the man, bitch, you have to compete for the best. But now, Captain Saberholes don't give a fuck. They'll get whatever they can get to take whatever they can take. That's why I said I get y'all. It was a great conversation. We're gonna have. We do have another conversation coming up, Ruby. I think you'll definitely enjoy. We're going to be talking about our millennial women built to last. That's going to be a really good one. I definitely am going to allow the women to run that panel. That hopefully, and the men can come up as guests. It's going to be on the millennial women built to last. But closing conversation, starting off with Ruby, Dr. A, and Michelle. Give us the final benediction. Go ahead, Ruby.
Okay. Well, I'll say a couple things. So first, I wanted to respond to something Miri said. And he was talking about that business association. And here's the thing. Part of the issue, and I honestly, genuinely believe this, is we like to overclaim dysfunction sometimes, right? So like this idea that, well, because it was a black man, right? That's why this business guy, he just couldn't focus, right? Despite the fact that we do know, and it's very, very prevalent if you are in these types of circles, and you know that, hey, guess what dudes do? They mostly meet together, and I'm talking about corporate, business, wealthy, right? They mostly meet together and do a bunch of debauchery, right? And then because they bonded, right, then they meet in the business room like the next day and be like, all right, we'll shake on, sign dotted line, yeah. I had my lawyer look over it, it's cool. Right. So, but the debauchery happens first, right? They're going to the strip clubs, hiring those women to come by to the spot and to the after hours and da da da. That's how men are, and men have been doing business like that for as long as we've been probably doing business as humans, right? But we will own that personally and say, see, it's a black dysfunction. Why can't you just shut that down? Because if as a black person, you have to be twice as good. You have to be twice and yeah, those are the stereotypes we've all kind of been having to fight. We have to be twice as good, work twice as hard to get half as far. And we accept that as though that it's okay. And I don't necessarily think it is, but I think that sometimes it's like we should lean into humanity, because we're humans, and humans are as humans evolved to be, and there's literally nothing we can do about that, right? And instead of always constantly bucking against our humanity, I do think that we need to start leaning into it a little bit, and then find the way to work with humanity, and then find the way to work with our individual culture instead of just being ashamed of it, wanting to just completely shut it down. Like, I had a friend going to university, and he was so ashamed whenever he would go into the library, because he said he would walk by and he'd see the Asian study room, because you could like rent out study rooms, like it was like fit 10, 20 people. And you'd see the Asian study room, and they were all just quietly studying in there together. And he'd walk by the study room, and there was a bunch of white kids, and they were all just quiet and studying together. And then he'd walk by the black one, he's like, oh, they're just like a bunch of monkeys. This is a black man who said this about other black people. It's like they're all laughing and joking, and there's one over there rapping, and this one's beatboxing, and he was so ashamed, right? And I'm like, well, did you listen to what they were rapping about, or did you pay attention to what was happening, or did you just assume that these people who are paying thousands and thousands of dollars to be there just rented out this study room in the library for no good reason? What it actually was, because I actually know people who do this at the school he went to, it was a study mnemonic, right? So they make songs to be able to study complex things or stuff that has a lot of details, so that way they'll remember it, right? And then they were utilizing something that we black people are really naturally inherently good at, which has to do with movement and also rhythm. And they were using that and using these things that naturally we're good at, right, to absorb that material. Us sitting there silently and just studying whatever, that wouldn't have been as effective or as quick as what these people were doing, right? But he was just so busy comparing himself and his culture and his people to these other cultures and the other people. Why aren't they just being quiet like those folks? Not what's going to work best for us. And there's nothing wrong with that. And so I think the problem is, it's like, because we don't have, I'm going to say, a strong, like, I won't say culture. It's not that we don't have a strong culture. The problem is that things like that, we're not proud of them. We don't embrace those types of things. We don't know how to differentiate when there's just like a failing and, men are just like that, or women are just like that, regardless of the race, or, hey, this is our individual thing and we should work on that. We don't really differentiate all of that. It's almost like we see ourselves constantly in everything that has to do with blackness as bottom of the barrel, right? Which is why people who have, just a large vocabulary called white and stuff like that, right? And so I think the problem is that because of that, we fall into all of this dysfunction and it becomes our culture, and then we try to do better, right? And try to pull ourselves out. It's like, okay, well, if all you hear is, well, the black man ain't shit and black man ain't dusty, and a woman wants to do better than that and she just wants to support her man, right? Well, then it's very easy to fall off of just being supportive, right? And now, well, if you have to be supportive, what does that mean? Well, if no one ever taught you, you don't know. Now, all of a sudden, now you're being a doormat for some ain't shit dude because no one taught you how to vet, and that you don't have to be supportive towards everybody for you to be a good woman or support. See, this is a problem. It's because we don't have it embedded into our culture. We don't have these rules embedded into our culture, so therefore our culture just becomes a bunch of crap. We don't really have belonging and what really belongs in our culture like really defined, and that's why we are just like the garbage compost heap for like every other culture. That's why people just dump their leftovers or their crap into our culture, and then the worst part is we accept them, right? We accepted Bad Baby. Why the hell is she anywhere near our culture? But we accept them. Right? We accept that stupid little Asian kid. I don't even remember her name. Right? We just accept them. We just let all that dysfunction become blackness. And then we go, how come they're trying to act black? Acting dysfunctional and ratchet and ignorant and cussing every 5 seconds, that's black? We don't have a positive definition of black. We don't have anything that is good for us to latch on to as a cohesive culture as in the Western world, for us to say, hey, listen, kids, you don't want to do all that dysfunctional crap. Here's all the good stuff. It's a whole culture. Here it is. Just latch on to that. We don't have that. So what are we expecting? We're just expecting people to just magically figure it out. We're just expecting them to just intuit it. We're expecting them to come from ancient parents or just parents who just didn't really know better. They're doing the best they can, but they don't really know, and just magically figure it out. There are some people who can do that, but it's not going to be the majority. Right? Then we could say, well, hey, people could go back to the community. And some people do. Some people go back and they help. But the majority of us don't want to do that. Right? So we want to sit on our pedestals, right? Sit on, wherever the hell we escaped from, right? Sit there and then criticize all the people who didn't escape, who weren't as lucky, who didn't have access to the same intelligence level or just information or mentors or whatever, and just criticize. And we don't want to be charitable to each other. We don't want to give each other the benefit of the doubt, and we want to sit there and not recognize that, hey, guess what? A lot of our dysfunction that we do have within our communities are in other people's communities, are in Asian communities and white communities and whatever, especially based on poverty, not on race, right? But you know what they do? They go and they help. And they don't feel ashamed about the fact that they gotta help their own, pull their own out, pull their own up. They don't feel ashamed about that. But like us, somehow or another, we have like this whole goddamn complex about it. So I don't know. I don't know really what I could say about like pick me's or Captain Save-A-Hos or whatever, because I kind of low key feel like at least they are trying to try. I just think they don't know how. They don't know how to try in a productive way. They don't know how to be supportive to one another in a productive way. They don't know how to build in a productive way. So they're doing what they know how to do. And they're trying to be positive. And honestly, in a way, I'm not even sure if that's necessarily worse. So even though it might be having a worse effect than the people who are like, screw the Black people, I'm leaving them and I'm never coming back, the outcome might be worse, but at least their heart is in the right place. I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's a really complicated issue. I feel like we keep complicating it more with all these goddamn terms and this and that and all the divisiveness. So we're never actually really getting the full story, the full picture, the full understanding. I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like I know less than I did when we started off a couple days ago, like 4 days ago on this subject. So I don't know. Thanks for having me though, BMT. It was really lovely talking to you ladies as well. Yeah, that's it. I'm good.
Well, I would say, firstly, thank you, Ruby. It was definitely great to be on the panel with you.
Definitely.
The first thing that really comes to mind is this, which is what you pointed out. We have to be conscious of how the narrative is defined. Okay, so when we're talking about mass media, NBC, ABC, they define the narrative. If you begin the conversation with reactionaryism, you're screwed. Especially us as people of color, you're screwed. So in terms of this conversation and this platform, we went round and round the mulberry bush, meaning collectively as panelists, over bullshit, meaning terminology. When Ruby appropriately said, we actually are all saying the same thing. We're disagreeing about the dumb shit, the terminology. And that is why I said, remove the terminology and let's talk about what we're defining. We're defining dysfunctional behavior. And this point, I don't agree with Ruby, because she sees the glass as half full and I see the half empty. But again, it is the same glass. She said the chick who's a pick-me and the Captain Save-A-Ho man are both trying. I don't think they are. Any more so than the crackhead that picks up the pipe is trying. They're failing. Because if you as a little girl were raped, molested, dishonored, dehumanized, disrespected, to the point where you don't value yourself as a woman, okay, you have no value within your self-worth. You have no self-esteem. I don't want to reward that state of being. For the sake of the little girls coming after you, I can't reward you and give you a cookie. Like you said, Joe, everybody is not a damn winner. Maybe you take the L and get some counseling. Same thing with a man. If you are that much of a jack off that you don't want a strong woman, you don't have the courage for a strong woman, you like somebody who you can victimize, I can't reward you either. Okay, you're not trying your best. You're not. So there are people who are not trying their best. And Ruby, I agree with you. We should not condemn them. But at the same time, I'm not going to clap for them and give them a cookie. They need some help. And our community collectively needs help. And those points, you're spot on. Why are we so damn self-destructive when other ethnicities face the same things we face and they react in a more functional way?
Okay. I'm going to get some measurements.
Sure. And Michelle, final thoughts?
Well, what I was going to say was this: you can't have excellence if you don't have negative. The pendulum swings both ways. We have to stop excusing behavior that we know is hurting the next generation. We know it's not building up stronger generations. When women are running around, they're not marriage minded. They're attention seekers. They're staying with a man that, how long are you going to sit there and try to reel a fish in? Oh, my man's not a fish. I'm the fish. Let's just be realistic. Ladies and gentlemen, the best thing for the Black community is to build a standard. It doesn't have to be a woman that stays at home. It could be a woman that, if the man is stronger, at taking care of the kids, he can stay at home. The thing about it is, kids come first. These conversations about who got how many baby daddies, who got how many baby mamas, y'all know that's embarrassing because that father's not in the house. I don't care how much money he has. It's like Elon Musk is embarrassing. I don't care how much money he has, and he has more money than Nick Cannon, but it's embarrassing. His kids are embarrassed by it. Yes, Donald Trump raised kids who are very prominent in the business and political world, but even they admit to dysfunction because their father was not in the house. Their father's behaviors affected them. It made them less socially acceptable, regardless of his money. He was considered nouveau riche, even though he inherited his money from his father, but it was because he did not act with class. He wasn't worried about the next generation. He was gaudy. He was loud. He was gauche. Those are the words used to describe him. And we come right along. And yeah. Look at Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg's been married to the same woman. I know friends who are his concierge that he will go out and let his friends act a fool, whereas he got somebody that got his back to keep him from acting a fool. So we need to, reward these. There are some people, Barack Obama, Michelle Obama. Hey, look at that family. Look at that family. That's a family. We are capable of doing a family. And even if you weren't born into a family, Barack Obama learned how to be a father. So drop this excuse. I don't know how. I didn't understand it. You got a grandfather. You got uncles. Don't tell me there's no men on your mama's side of the family. You can't find any men on your daddy's side of the family. Only thing you can do is find Ray Ray or Pookie standing on the corner. We can do better. Ladies, when you have a doctor and a lawyer sitting up there going, ladies, some of that behavior that you are doing are going to make you wind up in my office or her office. And my office is a lot harder to get into because I don't take insurance. I don't care what company you work for, I take cash. Cash, cashier's check, a major credit cards, okay? It's not cheap. It's not easy to sit up there and put a man on child support. Oh, I'm going to go to AG's office. The AG office Title IV program, guess what? The only thing they want to see is give me his W-4s. Here, okay, this is the W-2s. I forgot. Forgive me. Let me see his tax forms. Show them the tax forms, and it's a cut and dry. How many kids you have? You got one by her, two by. Okay, so the maximum is 25% divided by 2. Each one of y'all get 12.5%. That's the way the reality works. When men are saying, "Oh, the court is so unfair to us," it's cut and dry, brothers. Before you go in, you already know. You already know. Unless you get custody, which takes money. But at the end of the day, if you at the hospital with her, y'all have that discussion, y'all can discuss. She don't necessarily get to take the baby out of the hospital if you sign that birth certificate. You have equal rights to take that baby out of the hospital. And they will tell you that. So brothers, if you really want to take care of the kid, not take it home to your mama and let your mama or your aunt or your sister. If you want to be a responsible parent, then step up on that. Stop worrying about these hoes. These hoes ain't loyal. Of course they ain't. So why you dealing with them in the first place? Why every conversation got to be about, project hoes? Let's talk about the teachers. Let's talk about the accountants. Let's talk about the sales managers. Let's talk about the doctors, the lawyers. We got engineers. We got all kinds. And brothers, stop saying your degree don't matter to me. Maybe it don't matter to you. But guess what? Move out of the way and let the man it does matter to find his blessing to build up our community. And sisters, don't feel bad if a man says your degree don't matter to him. Why were you talking to him in the first place? Because he looked good, he was fine. Did you honestly think he'd make good DNA material? Did you question him how many kids you have? Where do you live? What do you do? If he's hesitant answering those questions, why you give him your digits? Okay? Just make up a number. Move about. Bump it on. So what we're saying is start thinking about the next generation. Who gonna wipe your ass when you're 80 years old? 20 years old running around here, females. Oh, I ain't gonna make it to 80. Do you really think that? Do you really think you ain't gonna make it to 80? Is your life, is your grandmama still alive? Look at the 70 and 80-year-old women that are still around you. Don't you want to live to their age and have your grandkids show you with respect like they used to hold to the Medias? They don't want to see no pictures of you twerking. Are you going to show the pictures of your kids when you were out there to your grown kids and your grandkids with your titties half out? Show some respect. Think about the next generation. Men, are you going to want some old pictures cropping up with you hanging out with women that you wouldn't want your daughter, your granddaughter to go out dressing like? See, that's where the narrative needs to be. Men, if you're over 40 years old, you need to be talking about what you're going to tell your daughter when she goes out there and starts dating. If she's already dating, how do you want your daughter to pick a man? And so for all y'all to sit there and go, I don't care what my son marries as long, or he get with as long as he happy. Guess what? Little kids are happy eating boogers for a point in their lives. Do you want to be the fool that's sitting up there, everybody talking about you because your son is eating boogers? He nasty. Your daughter eating boogers. She nasty. She hanging with the nasty folks. We don't want to define nasty, but y'all know what nasty is when y'all see it. The brother with no job. The sister that already got all these kids and is on welfare. Not the sister that is working her way through college and she's building up. She got kids, but y'all can build together. We're not talking about those sisters. Praise be to y'all. Find you a man and keep building. Brothers, don't be afraid of the sisters. If she is handling her kids and she is handling her business, trying to better herself, y'all work the ladder together. But brothers, avoid the chick that's sitting up there with kids just struggling. Because struggle love bring you both down. And all the generations down. So peace, love, thank y'all for listening. Please avoid my office and Afray's office unless you got good insurance, not welfare. Okay? Love y'all.
Okay. Thank y'all for all coming through. What's going on, conservative? I gotta email you, brother. We gotta sit down and have a conversation on the trajectory for masculinity later on. That should be an interesting conversation. Um, First of all, shout out to all my professionals that definitely came through. I know it got a little hectic. Mute up Michelle real quick. I know it got a little hectic with I know it got a little hectic, but that's okay when people are passionate. Thank you. But I want to thank y'all for being patient. Shout out to Melody. Shout out to Sweet Life, Sweet Melody Media, and Ruby. I did ask them at the last second to come through. This was not to attack those two sisters. So I don't want you to think it was. Definitely weren't. Y'all were not going to attack Melody on my platform. She, you know what I'm saying? Thank you. Thank y'all. We try to give y'all a quality conversation that it literally, for the time being, Ruby and Dr. A achieved. We moved away from the word and actually took it to a higher level, but it started to sleep right back into something different. So we tried, Dr. A. We tried. Um, and I think that's the thing about it. These conversations can happen. They can build. Also, Melody and Ruby will be also be able to broadcast on this network channel. Um, and we also will have more conversations with other people. Shout out to Bronzeberg. Shout out to the Great Liberators and Mary. All content creators, you are authorized to use this, commentate over it, or use it or chop it up to however you see fit to have your conversations because these are your works. If you are a content creator and you would like to use that of BMT and likeness of our co-hosts and stuff, please email me at blackbrother123@gmail.com. Um, we're not we're not we're not stingy, but as Dr. Offrey would normally say, you're not gonna fuck up our likeness. If you're gonna do our content, correct, Offrey, you're gonna make sure you get it right. Make sure you check in with us about
Exactly.
it.
Exactly.
Right.
You will be vetted.
Yeah, you will be vetted about it. We are vetted. People have taken what me, Dr. Arfrey, understand we do represent our companies, and we know we weren't saying nothing crazy. So we don't want nobody going around saying, "Oh, we said this," or "We spoke out of profession." No, we were very professional, very articulate in our mannerisms. There was no slander. We even covered the bases on how we did stuff. So we would appreciate it if you would like to contact, say, "Hey, can we use your content?" Fine, fine, but make sure we get to vet first, so that way we have a fair chance to say, "Hey, if you're going to represent us, we need it to be done correctly." Understand that, or we'll just strike it down, and there's nothing y'all can do about it. We strike down very easily. Um, so other than that, you guys, thank you. Coming up, the next episode will possibly be I got to get with Offrey and the show and a few other people. Are millennial women built to last? I think it's Are millennial women built to last? We're going to be
Yes.
having some sorrow sisters, some women that are trained for professionalism to be the best of the best. They're going to be giving their take on how they feel about this new brand of women. Are they honestly like the women that built to do the long haul, built for marriage, relationship, life, that sort of thing? So hit us up, tell us what you think, um, and we can go from there. If you want to contact us, blackbrother123@gmail.com. I could contact Dr. A, attorney in the shell. We have lawyers, doctors, psychologists, professionals, military. We have all that at our disposal. So if you want to contact us, or if you're seeking that of some type of help and you're trying to get away from an abusive situation, contact us. We can help you in different ways that are off screen to get you in a place of safety. That is something that I and Dr. A pride ourselves on. We have helped save lives and help get women and children into safe, productive environments, and also men into a better mindset. We thank you guys. Peace. Y'all have a good day.